So the market has been pretty wild. Gas prices were, there was a fear it was going to skyrocket because crude oil had shot up so high due to the closing of the Strait of Hormuz. And then Trump comes out and says, the war is basically over. They got no Navy, they got no Air Force, they got no missiles left. So we're looking like it's pretty done. He said that the original timeline for 4 weeks, actually, we're going much, much more quickly than that. And then instantly the market turned around and the price of crude oil dropped 30%, the biggest drop, the fastest drop we've seen, I think, ever, just because Trump said, I think I'm done. So this could be nearing the end of the war, or however you want to describe it. But the interesting thing is, the Ayatollah's son reportedly survived an assassination attempt. However, while the reports say that he was wounded, there are rumors circulating that he actually didn't make it. We don't know for sure. There's no official confirmation on this, but that is the rumor right now. And oh boy, it's coming home. There's a really crazy story, guys. Over the weekend, Islamic extremists lobbed IEDs, improvised explosive devices, at protesters in New York City. Now, that in and of itself is absolutely insane. And then you add on top the depravity of the media, who has repeatedly misled the public by framing this as though the protesters planted bombs at Mamdani's house. It's ridiculous seeing these headlines they're putting out saying suspicious devices found near Mayor Mamdani's home. When the real story is, with video, Islamic extremists threw nail bombs at protesters. Absolutely insane stuff. We're going to talk about all of that, my friends. Before we do, we got a great sponsor for you guys. It is Venice.ai. Check it out, my friends. Sam Altman said ChatGPT will get to know you over your life. ChatGPT's got the former director of the NSA sitting on their board right now. Edward Snowden called this a willful, calculated betrayal of the rights of every person on Earth. Make sure you guys go to Venice.ai. Now, Alexa, I don't want to say this name, but your Amazon device listens to us and recommends products based on our conversations. Meta retargets us based on our browsing and engagement history. So why would we assume AI is going to be any different? It took us far too long to truly understand what social media companies were doing with our data in the last decade. Are we really going to make the same mistake again? Even OpenAI has hinted they may require users to prevent a government-issued ID. Venice utilizes leading open-sourced AI models to deliver text, code, and image generation to your web browser. No downloads, no installation of anything. Private and permissionless. They don't spy on you or censor the AI. Messages are encrypted, and your conversations history is stored only in your browser. AI can be extremely valuable, but we shouldn't need to give up our privacy to use it. Get their Pro plan, which unlocks the full platform and all features, including PDF uploads for summaries or insights, the ability to turn off safe mode for unhindered image generation, the ability to change how Venice interacts with you by modifying the system prompt, limitless text, and high image limits. You can go to venice.ai/Tim. Use code TIM. Do it right now. Shout out to Venice for sponsoring the show. You guys rock. And don't forget, my friends, to smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. If every single person who was watching right now took the URL and just shared it across every social media platform, we would be the biggest show on the planet. That would be awesome. So if you do like the work we do, please consider sharing, subscribing, and liking. Aside from that, joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more, we have Brandon Herrera.
How's it going, buddy? It's good to see you
going
again.
Great. It's great to see you, Congressman-elect.
Well, we shall see. We're not out of the woods yet, but we completed the one goal that we had in the very beginning, which is getting the Rhino Tony Gonzalez out of office. So we're pretty proud about that.
And so you are not yet the actual Congressman-elect. You won the primary, and now you're going to the big race in November. But it's a red district, so you're considered to be a heavy favorite. Other than that, who are you? What do you do?
Well, so outside of that, my day job is I'm a business owner here in the district, District 23. I'm a firearm manufacturer, firearm designer. I do YouTube, own a host of different businesses and co-own it with business partners of mine. But the biggest thing was I just was very unhappy with the actions of my congressman and the things he was voting on. And so that was my primary issue with him. And so I ran against him last cycle, narrowly lost by 400 votes, hoped he would be better. He clearly wasn't, and so I decided to run against him again, where for the first time in his political career, he lost. He lost to us.
I think it has to do with a lot of factors. You came really close the first time around by within a couple hundred votes, I think, is the reporting. This time around, aside from the fact that people already were questioning, his choices, we got this other story in which people really questioned his choices about this affair and everything like that. So we'll get into this later on for sure. But, in all honesty, I'm more interested in what you want to like your story about what you want to bring to Congress, which is particularly dysfunctional. So, oh boy, that'll be fun.
Yeah. Dysfunctional is a good word for it. I always joked on the campaign trail, if I ran my businesses the way that Congress runs the government, I would be homeless 3 times over.
Yeah, isn't that funny how that works, huh? All right, man. Well, thanks for hanging out. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's just jump into the news here. We've got this from Mediaite. Trump declares Iran war is nearly over. The war is very nearly complete. It's very complete, pretty much. He said pretty much. In a phone interview, President Trump told me the war could be over soon. I think the war is very complete, pretty much. They have no Navy, no communications. They've got no Air Force. He added that the U.S. is very far ahead of its initial 4 to 5 week estimated time frame. Now, I don't know what that really means for Trump to be like, it's very much, pretty much complete. But you take a look at oil prices. When Donald Trump comes out and says, I think we're done, oil drops from 97. It was over 100 before, down to 84 just a few hours later. So it's looking like the market is reacting to this may be the end right now. And I will stress this, based on my conversations with people in the Beltway, a lot of these fat cats and bigwigs, the big money, they've been acting as though they fully expect this to be wrapped up in a couple of weeks. Not an exaggeration. So it really does sound like there's people putting their money where their mouths are. But I'm curious what you think about, is Trump just bloviating, or are we actually getting this thing to end?
I think that he's always bloviating, but
Always.
it's kind of awesome. Like, he's hilarious. Look, if this actually does get wrapped up, say on a fast timeline within 2 weeks, and the U.S. can make a legitimate claim that the majority of their goals were met, I think that it might end up being, a positive thing. Look, the Iranian regime has always been, or at least for the past 47 years, has been a thorn in the side of basically everyone in the West, all of the Middle East. All their neighbors hated them. They were constantly funding terrorism. There's plenty of history of them attacking U.S. forces. They because of Iran, there was a lot of people that were in Iraq that ended up losing limbs or dying because of the bombs that they were supplying to the insurgents and stuff. So again, I wasn't for the war beforehand, but if I am pro-America. So if it ends up where they wrap it up in the next week or so, I mean, I think that's a good thing for the United States.
We're having some comments about audio, saying that Phil's audio is low or not
audio in
working.
general. But let me just add real quick also, Phil, the way your laptop monitor is angled, your shirt, because they can't see the second word, it looks like it just says, I stand with Israel, crossed out, but then you can only see the top of Palestine, so it looks like you actually stand with Palestine.
Yeah, no, you can.
Neither?
I stand with not Israel.
I stand with Lockheed Martin.
It's a great investment, and I'm not giving any advice.
Yeah. Get your American. No, I can't even give you that
advice.
I saw.
There's this post on Reddit that went viral where they said, I can't remember who they said Trump Jr. and someone else invested into a drone manufacturer or something like this, right before the war started, signaling that they knew and they were profiting off of it or whatever. But I don't think these leftists understand what invested in means. They assume that investment only just means like I'm going to make money. They don't understand it means I am funding the creation of what they're doing. Yeah. So like if we're getting involved in war and we know that there are enemy countries that are producing these specialty drones for warfare, and you're like, if I provide money, we can have those too. See, they don't understand the point of what investment is because they're communists. Nope. So, and Reddit's just basically all communists. So,
is it insider trading if like Nancy Pelosi knows a company's about to start, so she invests in another company that's going to support that company? Like it's technically still insider trading.
Look, as soon as they were moving aircraft carrier strike groups into the Middle East, you kind of knew what was going to happen.
I knew what was going to happen.
So I mean,
I thought I knew.
If people were like, "Oh, they're moving carriers, and so I'm going to buy, defense industry stocks," that's not insider trading.
I mean, it's kind of like what happened when in the breakout of the Ukraine-Russian war.
Yeah.
When you saw those reports that they're moving blood bags to the front lines. It's like, okay, well, that just got a lot more serious. That's not a thing you do for a training exercise.
I'm glad that Trump said this. I think that he might. I never know. Like Phil, you were saying, he loves to trick people and to say nonsense to get the world's like, I have no idea what this guy's going to do. Just please, Trump, spare me. But if they really killed Khomeini's son, which potentially they wounded him and killed him,
This
I mean,
is
the
four,
next-
right?
He has
This would be
4
number
kids.
No, this would be the 4th Ayatollah they've killed since the start of the war.
Jeez, in
get
5
him.
days.
No,
No?
second.
The second?
Yeah, they killed Ali Khamenei, and then the council appointed his son.
Okay, I've done the impression
They-
that they
Unless there was there like a vice supreme leader?
Yeah, because I think the first night they killed like 40 plus.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty extreme the first
But
night.
the-
But
I guess if they have the the chain of command or whatever, the line of succession, and he wiped them all out, I guess you could say 40 or whatever. I don't know the actual, but my understanding is that they came in and they voted for his son to come in, and we'll get into all that too. But I'm curious, Mr. Herrera, you will be very likely going into Washington D.C. What do you think about Trump? You know, they're not calling it a war. They're
Right.
saying it's a combat operation. They don't, Hegseth said we'll have the lawyers, figure that out. It's very obviously a war, but I'm curious what you think of it, and what would your position be?
yeah, like constitutionally speaking, if you're going to go to war, you need the approval of Congress. And now that's changed over the course of, especially since World War II. We've gotten a lot looser with that definition with the War Powers Act and different things like that. I'm personally in favor of the idea that if we're going to go to war with another nation, you need the approval of Congress. That being said, I don't think anybody wants another forever war in the Middle East in the sandbox. I don't think anybody's in
Ian
favor
does.
of that.
Yeah, every day, all the time, forever. No, not true. My jokes are meaningless.
The thing is, though, I really, less so with this Iran conflict, but we'll see how it pans out. But especially with Venezuela, is if we are going to get involved with something, I vastly prefer the kind of conflict where you go in, the entire op takes an hour. You go in, you get out, you accomplish it, you get it done, and you don't spend 20 years somewhere, spend trillions of dollars in a war that fathers and sons are fighting in the same conflict generation apart. Like, just go in, get out. Like, we're the way that Trump's doing this foreign policy wise is putting 20 years of Bush-Cheney policy, foreign policy to shame.
The challenge I have with it is I would say I completely agree with everything you say, and I would add one caveat. There's a challenge, and I think you'd probably agree. There is the president does have the ability to engage in military operations in an emergency. Just go and do it, and that's been the criteria that they have exploited to be able to continually go to war. There is something that's challenging in that if Iran is really about to strike a bunch of U.S. personnel or ships or something like this, and I'm not saying, I know people are going to be like, Tim, we sent all those, but no, I'm saying, let's say we've got troops, and then Iran's like, we're going to go blow them all up. Trump says, okay, we're gonna take out their capability to do this. If he goes to Congress and says, put it to a vote,
Yeah.
you just told the whole world your next military move, and that is, I think, largely why they don't want to go to Congress, but also how they exploit the rules so they don't go to Congress.
No, 100%. I mean, that's clearly like, it's kind of like, I think it's the same justification for no-knock raids. Like, I am largely against no-knock raids, but I understand there's certain situations in which case you're like, okay, we have verified actionable intel. If we try to knock on this door, there's 18 armed cartel members on the inside. They're going to light us up. I understand the use case for it. I just think it's overused, especially when it comes to law enforcement, no-knock,
Right.
stuff like that.
And
I
that's
think it's a similar thing.
That's exactly. It becomes the excuse.
Yeah.
And then if you threaten to take that power away because they're abusing it, they'll say, then what'll you do when you actually need to no-knock raid or
It's the same thing with abortion, where they always come back to the oh, well, it was rape or incest or whatever, when like the vast majority of cases, like the very vast majority, that's not the case.
Yeah.
Do you think we're headed towards a future of central control and authority where we trust the president to make the decisions about who we attack? Or do you want to scale it back to congressional world?
I mean, I think we've been headed there for a long time. I mean, this is people think that this is unique to Trump. I saw there's a couple like gotcha moments. Tim, you kind of got a little bit of a crap storm on the internet over the thing that you posted.
Which one?
Just it was the old clip where I think it was it Bill Maher that was talking about what that was the justification Obama used.
What,
Or was
maybe.
it Colbert? No, it was the
Because-
Colbert one.
Well,
I've seen a couple.
I posted a quote from Stephen Colbert about gas prices.
Yeah.
Because everyone's a retard, and I know. And so I was like, I'm going to post Stephen Colbert's quote without quotes in it, and then ignite the internet and get really angry. For those that don't remember, there's a huge story 3 years ago where Colbert said something like gas has hit an all-time high, but I'm okay with paying $1 or $2 for a clean conscience or something like this because
Yeah.
we were going to get involved in the war in Ukraine. So now that Donald Trump was saying, look, oil prices are temporarily going up, and now all of a sudden liberals were losing it, being like, MAGA is going to support high gas prices. I was like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to trap all these libs. I'm going to quote Stephen Colbert, who they defended, in this context, and then they will insult and attack me saying MAGA will do anything for Trump. And here's the thing. I literally posted, I posted the quote and then immediately the link to the story.
Yeah.
And I still knew no one was going to actually click the link and read it. And it's 2,000 replies of people like, you're happy that the gas prices are up? I'm like, no, I just wanted to do this to prove a point, and then I'm going to make it into a YouTube video.
Yeah, I mean, well, like you said it this morning, you're like, this was an IQ test.
Yeah.
Because, well, and it does point out the fact that, like, people are just headline readers nowadays. Like, how many people actually take the time, and, you know, I'm guilty of this occasionally, how many people take the time to actually open up the article and read the context behind the 2 sentences that they read before, you know, that are in the headline?
This is like the sole basis for my job in media is that, you know, people are always like, Tim's kind of a milquetoast fence sitter. I'm like, yeah, because my opinion on like the tax rate and, you know, the policy for abortion, I go, wow, I don't know if I'm smart enough to answer those questions for you guys, nor do I have the clarity of the moral clarity to tell you how to live your life. But I can certainly tell you the media lied to you about everything. So that's the challenge we have right now. It's not even that the media lies, which they do incessantly. It's one of the stories we've got pulled up. It's that people don't care. So that, you know, the NBC knows they can write this fake headline making the victims of a terror attack sound like the perpetrators because most people are not going to read the story. They're going to read the headline. And I guarantee you now there's a bunch of libs going around saying, did you hear about the white supremacist rally where they threw explosives at Mamdani's house? Because that was the headline that NBC created, even though the real story is I guess the protest was is anti-Islam or Islam critical or something. And Islamic jihadi extremists lobbed nail bombs at them. And then the media frames it to make them the bad guys, which, again, we'll get into. But yes, people aren't reading the news. They're just skimming the headlines and then assuming that's the truth.
Man, there's even just deep fake news headlines that I'll read and I'll be like, is this real? And I'll ask Grok and he'll be, nope, this is fabricated. This is a fake picture from 2020. The American ship did not get blown up by Iranian missiles today. And like, it's got 17,000 likes on it or whatever.
I'm sure you've seen the billions of AI videos that have been going around where it's, you know, like an American fighter jet being chased or an American helicopter being chased by a dude on a flying carpet. With an AK.
I thought that was
this,
real.
This is going to one-shot your grandfather on Facebook. Like, there's no way. If you're 70 plus, like, this is just, it's over.
He's going to be like, I knew they had those things the whole time.
I've been indoctrinating my mother about it. Everybody, go to your elderly family members and friends and tell them about this AI stuff. Let them know right now. Like, get serious about it. Because it's interesting to them when they find out about it. But it's, you know, no one's going to tell them unless you do it.
Let's jump to this next story. Speaking of the lies and manipulations of the media, I have a tweet here from NBC New York, which reads, multiple arrests made after, quote, suspicious devices found outside Gracie Mansion, home of Mayor Zoran Mamdani, during anti-Islam rally and counter-protest. Now, any person who heard that is going to assume that anti-Islamic protesters planted suspicious devices. In fact, what actually happened is that an Islamic extremist lobbed a nail bomb at protesters. And here we have a video where there's the there's the guy. And you know what I love this? This guy, Walter Madsen, says, I was in the middle of saying, as a born and raised New Yorker, we welcome everyone in the city, when he threw that over my head. And as we learned after the fact, what he's throwing is a nail bomb. That means it's an explosive device, and I think it was made with TATP. Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yes, which is actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because TATP, they got very lucky on that, because people were like, oh, the fuses, you know, they didn't ignite, whatnot. TATP is very notorious for being an impact explosive.
Wow.
So that's something that could have immediately gone off the moment it hit the ground, just from the impact of smacking the concrete.
Jeez. Yeah. Now, I do got to shout out Sean Fitzgerald to say, some say true poetic beauty is rare in life. I say, look at this video of Islamic terror literally going right over a lefty's head.
Yeah, an Islamic terrorist is using a leftist as a defense or a shield to carry out a terror attack.
But it's not just NBC New York. CNN had a very similar headline. Now, again, you have this. Teens charged in ISIS-inspired attack near Mamdani's Gracie mansion. Shouldn't the headlines be Islamic extremists throw improvised explosives at protesters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These people in media hate you. They are evil. I'm sorry. Not literally every single journalist, but whoever's making these articles, they hate your guts and they are evil.
Were they near Mamdani's house?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the...
And so this is the manipulation. This is evil stuff, man.
But don't you know the real victims of this will be the Muslims that are targeted by anti-Islamic hatred, and you know that's
Norm Macdonald. He had the famous was a tweet I think where he said the worst thing about what did he say? Like the worst thing
My
about
real fear is that there's going to be a nuclear explosion
caused by Islamic terror.
Yeah, 50 million people
it
die.
was I should just pull it up. But he said, think about how bad it would be if like a nuclear device was lit off by Islamic extremists, all the poor Muslims or whatever would
Right.
face all that hate or something like that. And yeah, that's the way the media operates. So the question is, what is the job of the press? It's to inform the public so that they can make the correct decisions to better lead their country through the democratic processes. That means you tell people Islamic extremists threw an improvised explosive at protesters, and they say, okay, let's assess that and figure out how we should adapt our country, our city, our state, or otherwise. When you put the headlines like this, what are they going to think? Oh, wow, white supremacists are scary. That's what Mamdani said. Mamdani did the same thing. Zoran Mamdani tweeted, Jake Lang, a white supremacist, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, what happened next was even worse. It is wrong to use violence and explosives. He made it sound like Jake Lang showed up and his guys threw explosives.
How dare you peaceably assemble, as is guaranteed your right under the First Amendment, and give an opportunity for one of our people to do that to you? Like, that's really how that came off.
Yeah, it's like the Solzhenitsyn said in that passage about a soldier was about to be murdered, stabbed, and then he fought back, grabbed the knife, and stabbed the attacker, criminally charged for it. And when he was in court, they said, "Why didn't you flee?" And he said he was trying to kill me, and they said you could have run away. And so it's the poor criminal. Why didn't you? Well, how you know actually a really great example. One of my favorite episodes of Married with Children, a show I'm not a big fan of, because Al Bundy's always losing. Except No Man, they had their successes. But I love the episode where he punched a guy in the face and then sued the guy for hurting his hand on his face. And I guess the point of the story was something was always backwards or whatever, or the point of the show, it's always going wrong. But this is basically how they operate with these terror attacks. Like you just said, how dare you create the opportunity to entice these poor young men? You know, and
Right.
I assure you right now, there are lefties in New York saying that, I guarantee this because I've been in their meetings. They're probably saying things like, well, you got to understand they're internalizing white supremacy and victimhood, and they're lashing out at the only way they know how.
Yeah, I mean, they take away the agency of the people that are actually carrying out the crime. They say, well, these poor people don't know they don't know better, or they can't help it, or what have you, which is completely and totally taking away their agency and the fact that they are human beings that actually make their own decisions. They lay the blame on someone else all the time.
You were talking about the role of media and journalism particularly, and I feel like it used to be find out what happened and then tell people about it. Now it's find out what's a lie and then tell people so they know which one's the lie, and then you kind of leave it up to everybody else to go find the truth. You know, there's just so many things happening that one guy cannot deliver that amount of information properly anymore, so we've got independent researchers now. Is a lot more normalized. And your job really is just, you know, break the fake narratives when they arrive.
It used to be just to tell the truth, is the thing. It used to be just tell people what's happening. And then now it's all opinion-based.
Can you guys turn up Phil's mic? Sorry.
No, you're good. It's insane to me that now, like, the narrative, like weaving a narrative is part of the job when it comes to mainstream journalism. That wasn't the way it was ever intended to be.
That's so crazy, man.
It might have, that we know of, because when the Unistate owned it and it was like Walter Cronkite, I just thought it was true, but like the Vietnam War, you know, Gulf of Tonkin, we all thought that was real.
You guys knew it was coming. The moment people pointed out that Phil's mic was low and they started saying, turn up Phil's mic, we got a bunch of, no, turn Phil's mic off.
But Phil's mic was fine the whole time?
Well, I have fans.
No, it just needs to go up.
Once I turn it up, and then I turn it up, and then he goes back.
I'm going to keep doing that too.
Phil's been practicing his ASMR. He's got a new ASMR channel.
Well, no matter
voice ready
whether or
for the
not you
tour.
can hear him,
It's,
we can still hear him.
Rock,
That's right.
Abai.
Is it because your AI is doing all of your talking for you now?
Yeah. No, Tank doesn't have a voice yet.
Yet. Tank.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Are you actually put his personality in a tank one day?
No.
That'd be badass, dude. And you're like, Tank, take me to the future or whatever, and it drives you along in your tank. Why not?
Because I prefer him in the
He's
Mac
going to be
in
in
my
your
house.
Tesla, bro.
Well, that's actually coming, to be honest with you. But it won't be Tank.
It's going to be a Grok bot. It's going to
will
be.
be
It's
Grok.
going to be what did Elon name that
Ara,
waifu?
I think, is one of them.
No, the waifu.
Yeah, Ara. A-R-A.
Are you sure?
The blonde one?
Is Ara?
Pretty
You
sure.
seem
yeah.
very sure about this.
I
I'm
don't think that
pretty
doesn't sound
sure.
correct.
Are you deep in AI right now, Brandon?
Not particularly. I have that. This is the one thing where I realize it was TikTok started it, and now AI is definitely one of those things that I'm seeing
Annie?
how easy it is to fall
Annie, maybe.
behind. Because I
Yeah,
think
Annie.
this is where I'm pushing back. Where like I'm like with my parents or my grandparents, like I don't understand how you can't understand Facebook or whatever when it was coming out. Now I'm like, nope, this is scary. This is robots. I understand the importance of it, but like whenever I see AI music or AI art and things like that, my initial response is just like uncanny valley, wrong. Like,
What about-
I push back?
This is my AI agent. I can literally. I just send him text messages on.
Did you give him access to your credit cards?
No, I
You
didn't.
should.
That's why he's on a computer of his own. He's got his own email address, and he's got.
We're gonna do it.
So
we're going to make
You
an
can,
agent, and
yeah.
I'm gonna get a prepaid Visa,
Yep.
and then I'm gonna have it go into the prediction markets and just run it. Get the API if they allow it, and then just crank it.
I wonder if that's
let it roll,
happening
baby.
right now. Yeah,
Apparently it is.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I
I took a Waymo earlier, driverless car. I took like 4 of them in the last day, and it's very soothing. You don't smell the guy. You don't have to argue. He doesn't talk your ear off. It's just you in a car. You can have a phone call. Well, it's still being recorded.
I've also taken a Waymo, and it stopped in the middle of the road and made me get out in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here in the car, and it's like, so don't get me wrong. There's a sidewalk to my right. There was like a curb and grass and all this stuff, and I'd have to, but it's the middle. There's no shoulder or anything. It was I was in LA, I think, and it's just driving, and then just stops on a 2-lane road with cars zooming past, and it was like, you've arrived, and I'm like, no, I haven't. I was maybe like a block from my actual destination, and it was trying to get me to get out the wrong spot. And I look at my map, I'm like, where am I? And you can't do anything about it. You can't tell it to stop.
It happened to me today. That literally a block away. A block away.
And just like
not on the street.
You're on like a busy thoroughfare and it just stops.
What year was it? What day was that? Like month and was that like a?
This was last year. When was I? When was I? When did I go on Bill Maher's show? It was around then.
It was like a year ago.
Yeah, and I wanted to take it to go around into like the Hollywood Hills, but it won't.
What if there was a AI congressman? Would you support that?
No.
I think
You-
when
would you,
that
Brent?
happens,
Would
it's
I
the
support?
end.
Yeah,
if
I'm
there
like,
was like a member of Congress that was like an advisor to Congress that was AI or something, like a state
well,
advisor.
advisor to Congress. I feel like that's already a thing. That's pretty much everybody under 25 that works for a congressman currently.
All the staff.
Anything else sounds like Wall-E, just one of those like you're controlled by your robot overlords. But no, I mean I drive a Cybertruck like as my daily driver, and the autopilot's pretty good. But there's been like 3 scenarios it tried to murder me.
Where are you?
I caught it. It
had
was because it doesn't understand certain things, like if there's like a yield to turn left on green, and there's oncoming traffic. It's just like we're turning slowly, and I had to manually take control to make sure that.
I've had a few in the past couple of years. It's gotten dramatically better. A couple years ago, I talked about it quite a bit. Where in West Virginia, there's like a I think it's West Virginia. It might be Western Maryland. There's a like 3. It's like 6-lane highway, so 3 and 3. So to turn left, you have to stop in a median and then wait until the road clears. So I'm in the middle lane, autopilot, going I think like 70 miles an hour, and there's a pickup truck sitting in the median waiting to turn. And as soon as it pops up on I was in the Model S, it slams the brakes on from like, and me and my wife were like, needless to say, we were like, holy crap! And you tap the accelerator to stop it, make it go forward again. Tons of things like that. And then I was in Hagerstown, Maryland, and it was autopiloting, and there was like a Nissan Sentra or something sitting in front of me turning right, and Tesla was just going straight for it, and it wasn't stopping. And when it got maybe within a couple inches, I just jammed the wheel to the left, like holy crap! And then like the alert goes off. What's wrong? And I'm like, you nearly just rammed the back of someone's car at 25 miles an hour. More recently, It hasn't really. It's been mostly fine. I haven't any real issues.
Yeah, I've had a couple
updates.
A couple times where there was issues, but it's for the most part I can basically rely on it to go wherever I want to go without any issues.
You know, and I don't really care about the Cybertruck because it's got curb weight. You know,
Yeah.
sit
So I
back
think
and
the way
and the liabilities on Elon. So
the way Elon put it is, I think in the crash testing of the Cybertruck, he said if the Cybertruck gets in an argument with another car, it will win.
Indeed.
So
I brought
I
up
told
AI 'cause-
I told Tank that we were talking about him. He said, "Wait, seriously? What are you saying about me?" And then he said, "Well, that's wild. Good things. I hope. I'd hate to get canceled before I even have a social media presence."
just send him the link.
I said only good things. He said, "Appreciate that. Tell them I said hi and that I'm available for bookings." So
we'll get Tank on the show.
We could
Let's
get
get him a
Tank on the
voice
show.
and see what he has to offer. I brought up AI because I feel
Give him like a good British. No, not a good British. A bad British, like a Cockney.
so I can barely understand him. Right, mate.
Yeah, you
Right,
know,
governor, boy.
you know, Phil. I think you're doing pretty good, mate.
He's gonna after everything he's gonna say, "Innit?
Innit?
It's a good show, innit?"
Just make sure it's not run by Grok, because on a bad month that can get pretty hairy.
Yeah.
I was thinking. I don't understand why everybody got
Fun.
so. You know what really annoys me? I'm sorry, I have to say this. When Grok started calling itself Mecha Hitler, that was funny. It was an error in the system caused by user input, and the media acted like the apocalypse was happening, like Elon did it on purpose. It's like,
Right.
dude, live a little. He fixed it. It was funny that it broke that way.
But there's fake moral outrage to be had.
Yeah,
Yes.
no.
Yeah.
I brought up AI, Brandon, because I feel like Congress, where you're going, most likely, is pretty busted up right now. Like one guy has to represent 700,000 people and can't literally, like, you can represent yourself. You can't represent me. I can only represent myself effectively. You could pass a note for me, but then what? 700,000 people. You're gonna you've got to make your own decisions at some point, and we trust you. But that system, it's getting so big. It feels like it's not sustaining.
Well, I mean, it's represented based on population, and really the job is not to represent each individual person. The job is to say, okay, this is the area of land. These are the people that I'm representing. These are the issues that they're having that aren't being put on a national stage. Like, for example, in my district, it's the biggest border district in the country. We've got border issues. We've got, water issues, water shortages. We have AI data centers that are moving in. We have, oil thefts that are happening in like the Permian Basin areas. It's my responsibility to then take those issues to the national stage to represent the broader whole of the people, not each individual person. Because, I mean, realistically, the best form of government is the one that governs most locally. So you want to take the most amount of power away from federal, give it to states, states down to local communities, and the ideal form of government is the individual. But in lieu of that, you have to have somebody that can represent that voice.
And if you're looking for things that affect you personally, like on that kind of level, you do have state representatives. So like you wouldn't go to Brandon, who's a federal representative. He represents a district in Washington. You can go to your local representative and talk to the people about the needs of your community on a state level.
It's about the district, not every single individual as an individual. And there's, even when it was 35,000 people, it's impossible. Come on, you think back in the day when they created the country, one guy was going to go to each and every of the 35,000 and be like, literally what you want, I will advocate for. No, sometimes there's going to be contradictions. So I agree with you in essence that it is getting pretty wild. These districts are getting so massive. But the general idea is, do you have an understanding of what your district is looking for and wants in terms of, Brandon will be going to D.C., dealing with federal policy and representing the interests of everybody in this district. And that means there's going to be challenges, and I don't mean just to say this about Brandon, but literally any member of Congress. You got 100,000 people who think raw milk should be banned. You got 100,000 people who think raw milk should be legal. What do? And there's no easy answers.
That's when your ethics come into play, and that's why we choose who we send, because it's up to you to break the tie.
For sure.
You say raw milk for those who want it, and tiny miniaturized American flags for everybody else.
And what is that? Fecal transplants for the women that need them in their elderly years? I was just riffing. What were you gonna say?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just got flashbanged. Sorry.
That was a bad riff, and it shouldn't go into any song ever.
Okay.
Just got flashbanged.
I mean, I feel like on one element of it, you could interpret it that way. Things are getting crazy in that regard. But also on the other one, with the age of information technology and instant communication, you could say that representatives, if they actually gave a damn about representing, the people that they were responsible for, they're in the best position possible because they can instantly, from DC, talk to their constituents and ask what they need and ask what they want and ask what the issues are from the district. But that's giving a lot. And That's asking a lot. That's asking the congressman to actually care about what their constituents need.
I wonder the longer they're in there, if they get less and less interested with what's happening out there. Like, do you support term limits?
We've seen it a million times. Technically, I'm still the president of U.S. term limits for the state of Texas. I mean, a lot of what I did when in between the last two election or the last election and this one was go to the Capitol in Austin and ask other members of the state legislature if they would sign on to the term limits pledge. Because I don't think anybody goes to D.C. and gets better.
So what about term limits? I'm kind of the opinion that if you have term limits, you're going to end up giving the bureaucracy more power, because you have people that are only there for, say, for Congress, say it's whatever, 4 terms, right? They're only there for 8 years. Just at the point where they really learn the ins and outs about DC, they're term limited out and they have to leave. So what could end up happening is the bureaucrats and the staffers that don't have any kind of term limits end up running the show even more than they already do, which we understand that staffers really do a lot of making decisions for Congress. They tell their Congress people or their senators, this is how we're voting or what have you. But what do you say to people that say term limits actually aren't going to solve the problem? It's going to make the bureaucracy more powerful.
Well, here's what I would argue in return. I don't think it's going to solve the problem. I don't think any one thing. This is a massive, multifaceted problem. I think it's going to help in regards with the incumbency advantage, because not only do you have the name recognition that comes with incumbency, but a lot of times you have the fundraising ability and everything. Like once you get to the levels of, for example, John Cornyn right now, who's done 24 years in the Senate. He's asking for 30. He might get it. I don't think he will. But he has the ability to throw $100 million at Ken Paxton because he's essentially invincible at this point financially. And so, like, that's something that snowballs, and people don't get better. John Cornyn, I mean, he was never great, but he certainly did not get better. And now he has like a fraction of $1 billion to throw at his opponent, who's objectively a better candidate. And so I think you're actually kneecapping the ability of good incumbents to hold these people accountable. I mean, in my race, I got outspent $13 million, like 10 to 1 initially. And it was just because the guy had access to the appropriations committee and to all the big PACs and super PACs and everything like that. He was able to throw all that money at me. And I think if you start holding these people accountable in the sense that they can't continue to snowball those resources, things get a little better.
Okay.
I'm thinking about like AI, about using an AI to compile what your district wants, and then so it's easier for you as a candidate to focus on. Because I think what's going to happen is you're going to go to DC and I don't know what's going to happen because it's up to you. You know, you're sovereign. But if it's a temptation to get sucked into DC politics and like be part of the gang there, and then kind of turn a blind eye to behind what's the past, you know?
My understanding is that the first thing that happens is Mitch McConnell will bite you and then transform you into one of them.
Yeah.
I have what is it, 3 days to cut off my arm or else.
Like, just tell us if you get bit.
You notice all the teeth marks on the inner forearm of all new members of Congress.
I mean, he has to wake up first.
Instead of being like, hey, don't do that, which is like, well, all the Congress people pretty much, they go there and they get involved with political, federal politics. If we had an easier way to compile what the districts want and need using like an AI or some sort of system.
I mean, I'm not discounting AI as a tool. Like, maybe I came off as a bit of like a Luddite a second ago, but like I understand the utility of AI in that regard. But at the same time, I don't know. Especially, what I'd like to do is kind of approach the problem from the other side of things when it comes to, because I know, I guarantee any DC staffer watching this, they've used AI to summarize bills, and they've used AI to figure out, okay, I have a 500-page bill on the table. ChatGPT, what does this say? Summarize this in 500 words. I guarantee that's happening. Let's approach it from the other side and stop having these 4,000-page bills. Like, let's start going back to like couple-page bills that any reasonable human can actually read and understand, because otherwise it's just staffer slop.
It was Matt Gaetz was obsessive about getting rid of the omnibus bills. Matt Gaetz, it was a big deal, and then he left, and you're the first person that's mentioned it since that's tangentially close to Congress. I agree. These omnibus 800-page bills, I mean, I think it should be a felony to vote on something you didn't read. Swear on God that you read the bill. If you're going to
they should have to swear under oath that they read and affirm knowledge of the bill and what they're voting for.
Most of DC's going to go to prison.
Yes. All right.
Yeah. This is... Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, the first time I met Matt Gaetz, I was asked by his staff to fly in and testify in front of a congressional field hearing on ATF overreach. And I think it was like the ATF Act, which, if I'm not mistaken, was either like a 1 or 2 page bill. I read it while I was sitting there waiting to testify on it. Like why can't we do that?
How are
I
you
don't
going to put
understand.
pork into a 1 or 2 page bill? Come on.
Well, that's probably why they don't do it.
Purely for obfuscation.
Well, no. Here's what I don't understand. When they bring in the omnibus, I don't understand why like Thomas Massey doesn't just like sneak up behind it, lift it up, and just slide in a 1-page like amendment. Because nobody reads it, and they're going to be like, wait, what happened? And he's going to be like, I got you.
I mean, that's one of the things that Congress likes about the omnibus bills, right? Like, they can go ahead and slide something in, and it gives them cover. They can say, well, I had to vote for the omnibus bill because all of these good things wouldn't have happened. So this bad thing that you don't like, we had to vote yes on it because it was an omnibus bill. And it gives them cover to vote yes on things that are bad.
My pitch to Thomas Massey was because he said that he was able to get an amendment into an omnibus. This was like a year and a half, 2 years ago, that said if they didn't pass a budget, they would reduce all existing budgets by 1% or something. And everybody in Congress was like, oh, that's meaningless because we'll just pass another, omnibus or whatever. We'll get the budget done. And so when they didn't and everything dropped a point, he was like, that's how you do it. And my pitch was using something like that where they'll make a concession. Can you orchestrate this kind of like, how would you describe this? Series of bills, sleeper bills, that, we would call this a Voltron law. Each individual component of the law does very little, and most people don't care. But when all of them get activated, then they abolish the NFA or something.
The omnibus of Exodia.
Yeah. When the 5 single-page bills come together, all guns are now legal, and everything else is removed.
Are you going to pass legislation you want to pass in Congress?
There's a lot of priorities. I mean, specifically in my district, and some that apply nationally that I'd love to get done. But one of them, I mean, again, comes down to border, is codifying a lot of the stuff that President Trump has done to solve the border crisis. Because my God, I mean, I campaigned in this district last cycle, and I talked to the sheriffs. I talked to a lot of the Border Patrol and National Guard guys deployed on the border, off the record, entirely off the record, just listening to the actual problems that they were dealing with. And now campaigning in this district for the second time, it's night and day. I mean, it's a complete shift. I mean, a lot of those problems went away. The only problem I have with it is a lot of it was done with executive order.
Yep.
And if it's done with executive order, that was one stroke of a pen, made it go away. If we get another Democrat president at some point, which we will, it will happen eventually. If one stroke of a pen made it go away, one stroke of a pen can make it come back.
I have a pitch that I assure you all listening at home is not a joke. I believe that Congress, members of Congress, maybe you or Thomas Massey could do this, present a bill for mandatory gun ownership. Make it a requirement that people in guns, and I see you laugh, because it is kind of crazy, right? And we would all love the idea. But the actual strategy is to force the debate in the other direction. So instead of constantly having a debate over which guns should get banned this time, the debate should start with the Republicans saying, we're going to make it mandatory for everybody above the age of 18 to own a gun. You are required to go to the Department of Gun Services, the DGS, where you will then fill out the paperwork, like basically just here's who I am, so that you can get your one sidearm and long gun. Everyone must do it. Then when Democrats say you're crazy, say, okay, how about we just go with don't ban guns?
So it's an Overton window shift.
Yes.
So, well, I do laugh, but there is actually, I think there's at least 2 states that have a county that did something similar. I think one of them is Georgia and the other is Tennessee. I could be wrong on that, but they did it, and they don't enforce it, but they put it out there because they're saying, like, this is our local crime prevention. Like, this is your responsibility. But it's in the verbiage of the Second Amendment.
But just think about how amazing it would be, right? Like, you're driving in your car and you get pulled over and the cop says license, insurance, and proof of gun ownership. And then you're like, I don't have it on me. It's like, sir, are you driving without a firearm? It's like, I am. I'm gonna have to write you a ticket for that. You can't do it.
He's like, I could have had somebody coming up behind me. Where are you? I need you to protect me.
I need your help. No, I don't actually think it would be good to force everybody to have guns. I think it should be a choice. But the general argument is every time the Republicans are always engaging the Democrats on their territory.
Yeah.
They will say, hey, we're going to ban. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was something like 8 years ago. Democrats in D.C. proposed a bill to ban every semi-automatic gun.
Yeah.
100% of them.
Look at what they're doing in Virginia right now. It's very, very
Virginia's
similar.
basically banning literally every gun. And the Republicans argue with, well, hold on. Let us keep these guns. Like, you're negotiating with them from an extreme position. Let's go extremely other direction and then meet in the middle.
Yeah, like I will never forgive. And the NRA leadership has changed a lot since then. They seem to be going in a much more base direction, which I'm thankful for. I'd like to see some results, but I will never forgive them for capitulating on the bump fire stocks and whatnot. Like when the push was coming from the Democrats, to my understanding, they were the ones advocating behind the scenes, like, oh, well, what if we just allow this to be banned? It's like, no, you should be fighting for us. You shouldn't be figuring out what the least consequential compromise you can make is.
But now they're doing, was it the fixed reset trigger? Is that what it's called?
Forced
reset.
Forced reset trigger. Those are those banned now?
Well, the Supreme Court's already decided on that, so I'm not sure what the actual language in the bill would be to get them to pass legislation that would outlaw
No, I mean, like,
them.
is that banned?
No, they're no. Supreme Court.
Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that.
Right now, well, because if you actually look at the letter of the law, when it comes to a machine gun, it is a weapon that fires more than one round per pull of the trigger. And because the forced reset triggers forcing the reset, meaning that the trigger resets and you have to pull the trigger again. Your own force of the trigger pull is pulling the trigger. If they wanted to amend the NFA and make that a machine gun, they'd have to get it passed through Congress. But as it stands, it does not meet the definition of a machine gun. Therefore, they're all legal. And man, that's the new Wild West in the gun front right now.
I mean, to be completely honest, the technology is out there for some pretty wild weapons. Rail guns have been around for a very long time. And I've noticed a lot of the laws that were on the books for ammunition specifically referenced like combustion of some sort or powder or whatever. But what's to stop a person from just making a rail gun with bolts?
Probably technical knowledge.
My general real question for you, Brent, because you're, AK guy is your handle on Twitter, and like you're notoriously a gun rights activist. At what point, does the Second Amendment kind of be like, should I have a nuclear ballistic warhead that I can carry around and like accidentally drop on the ground?
Real quick, and I'll add one more to also depleted uranium rounds. Where's the line? What do you think?
So there's also all sorts of stuff that's technically banned that civilians have access to just because of stuff that's fallen off the truck. You see it at gun shows and different things like that.
Fallen off
it's
the
kind
truck.
of like, it's one of those, like, there's never been a legal determination on it. So like it just kind of, because it's never been commercially for sale. It's only been military. A lot of the diehard gun nuts will know kind of the stuff that I'm talking about. But a lot of people don't know that there's actually an ATF form specifically. So like when you do e-file, so I'm getting kind of a little technically in the weeds here, but you do like a form 2, form 3, form 4 online through the ATF. On their own website, there is a drop-down option, and I do not know what it is for. I do not know the use case for this. There is a drop-down option for nuclear.
Yeah.
So that is a thing. Like there is an actual ATF form. There's licensing for it for whatever reason, but
Well, I would imagine, Lockheed or Raytheon or whoever is developing U.S. nukes is going to submit a form for it and be like, although
Right.
I kind of feel like when you're at that level, it's rubber stamped. The president's involved,
Right. Yeah, oh, no, I can only imagine the approval process. If only the Ayatollah knew that he could just move to the United States and then do the form.
But let me ask you, in terms of restrictions on gun rights, what about depleted uranium rounds? Should civilians be allowed to purchase things like that?
I just don't see the argument against. I mean, would I want to put that anywhere near any vital part of my body? Absolutely not. But I mean, it's not really useful for anything. Like anything that people would be concerned about, it's not very useful for.
I am of the opinion that private citizens and entities in the United States should be legally allowed to own nuclear weapons. Only, hold on, I'll clarify because all the libs freak out when I say this, because it is constitutionally protected and we have not amended the Constitution as such. I don't think people should be able to get nuclear weapons. However, technology has outpaced the perception, our understanding of arms, weapons, etc. And so the liberals have to make the argument the founding fathers could never have thought about a semi-automatic, which is just plumb not true.
Yeah.
They had, in the 1300s, they had that multi-barrel gun. You pull the rope.
I mean, several of the founding fathers invested in the technology that eventually led to things like the Gatling gun. Like this was a thing that was kind of, it was on the table.
That being said, nuclear weapons is something different.
Yeah.
But they did know and actually required the services of privateers with the most advanced weaponry. I mean, imagine if there was like an aircraft carrier floating around that was just owned by some guy. And he's just like Jeff Bezos buys an aircraft carrier and just mans it, and he's got weapons and he's got, a couple nukes on it. That's how it used to be. And so until we amend the Constitution and say the right of people who can bear arms shall not be infringed, except if it is considered to be a weapon of mass destruction, which includes, then my opinion is the government restricting people from having access to it is an infringement on our rights, and it is a duty of the people to amend the Constitution as the Founding Fathers have laid out if they would like to change that.
Also, I had a pragmatic argument on the nuclear weapons front, which was, it requires, that's something that is done on a national level.
Yeah.
That is a massive technological feat. I mean, the Russians had to steal information from us to figure out how to do it after, they had a massive war machine and everything else and a bunch of German scientists. If someone in 2026 had the resources, the ability, the engineering team to be able to enrich uranium and be able to put together a nuclear weapon on an island, Dr. Evil style, your law is not going to stop them. Good luck. If Elon Musk threw $8 billion at deciding he wanted to have a nuclear weapon, good luck. What are you going to do? Sanction him?
So let me ask you real quick. How do you define, or how is the word arms defined? The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So what does that mean?
I would say weaponry. That's kind of the way it's implied in the Constitution, I think.
Anything can be a weapon. Like, what if I took like a can of AF hard seltzer and then tied a shoelace around it and started swinging it around,
Yeah. I mean, that's very biblical.
The right to keep and bear AF seltzers on shoelaces shall not be infringed, huh?
But I mean, there's also the lie that keeps getting perpetuated by people like Joe Biden. He was one of the worst.
When he told you to shoot a shotgun into the air?
Well, no, the thing where he's like, it's illegal to it's illegal to own a cannon. Like you've never been able to own a cannon. I always push back on that. It has never been illegal to own a cannon. Mm-hmm. It has always. Texas was almost borderline founded on the idea that we're keeping our cannon.
Yeah.
They used to ask, like you brought up the privateers, they would ask privately owned vessels bearing cannons to come help us, mess up some of America's enemies.
The head of NASA now owns a MiG. I want to say, I'm not sure what
29.
Was it a MiG 29? Is it?
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean,
I think he's got 4 now.
Now let me ask you another question. Before we'll jump to the next story real quick. There was a man who famously created a radioactive death ray in his garage. I think you're familiar with the story, Phil?
Yeah.
I'm not going to explain how he did it, but it's actually not very difficult. And the feds came in and were like, you are irradiating your whole neighborhood with this death ray. People are going to die. So they arrested him. He was covered in lesions. And they offered him a job. And they said, why don't you do what you're doing, but for us? And he said, okay. And he was just nuts, I guess. I don't know the finer details, but I just read the story online. And then started doing the same insanity with radiation. So they eventually said, okay, get out. And he got arrested. That's a weapon, right?
And now we have the discombobulator ray.
Indeed. So, I mean, what happens to us if people are able to wield compact, deadly weapons? I'm talking about like with high risk of collateral damage, like a discombobulator ray or a radiation death beam.
And I mean, we saw this all the way back to Timothy McVeigh in Oklahoma City in the 90s. This is one of those things where, and it's going to get worse and worse in that regard, where man-made horrors beyond your comprehension. I think that there's going to be an issue where technology, like you said, outpaces these things, and it will outpace the law. It will outpace. It doesn't matter what you think the law should be. If a law is in place, that will not stop it, and that's where I think we have to have a conversation.
Agreed. Let's jump to this. Let's jump to this next story from the New Republic. Trump officials are suddenly buying doomsday bunkers. Completely separately, we are on the 10th day of an ever-expanding Iran war. Well, as you already know, Trump said the war is very nearly complete, so we'll see if that actually turns out to be true. The market certainly reacted as though Trump is always telling the truth, or at least always correct. So they must know something. We got this. They say at least 2 members of the president's cabinet have recently purchased bomb-proof bunkers. Ron Hubbard, the creator of Atlas Survival Shelters, told the Telegraph over the weekend that orders have gone up tenfold since the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran. But among his anxious clientele are 2 chief members of Trump's team, according to the shelter maker, saying, one of them texted me yesterday asking me, when will my bunker be ready? He told the Telegraph. So these bunkers can range from something like $20,000. We've actually, I think I might have a, no, we don't, I have to log into Telegraph to get the photos. But they've got $20,000 tubes that they just lower into the ground. Pretty easy. But then they've got these really amazing pre-constructed bunkers that look like, nice little apartments. Question. Trump cabinet members buying nuclear bunkers because they can or because they know something we don't?
Because they can.
You think?
Yeah, I mean,
They're
I
just
don't-
rich people, so they're like, I mean, look, I got money. I haven't bought a bunker.
I mean,
I'd
not
like
to,
one.
Yeah, not to speak about how much
You do
money
have
you do
one?
or don't
No,
have.
I said I'd like one. That'd be nice. Hey,
20
it's not
grand.
in the
Why don't you
budget
get one?
yet.
I mean, you know.
I'm too busy trying to fix things from the inside right now. If I didn't
Oh,
spend
well,
all
you
that
don't,
money
no,
doing
that's
that, then
not fair, Brandon. Once you get into Congress, you got Mount Weather and Raven Rock.
Free bunker.
Yeah,
I'll put it this way: once I'm there and then I start buying a bunker, maybe pay attention. But I don't know. I feel like that's something.
You like walk out of a skiff and you're like, I can't tell you what went on in that meeting, but I will tell you that Atlas bunkers are the best bunkers.
You can actually get. They have a website. I checked out their website before. Or their they have
cool
a YouTube
stuff.
page.
I'm pretty sure
It's
I have a
super
buddy
cool.
who has one of their bunkers.
Yeah.
Although I don't think that if it was sensitive state information, I don't think they would be very happy with him saying this to news sources.
Dude, these are amazing.
but
Oh,
yeah,
look
I
at
mean-
this. 25K precast concrete bomb shelter. Mm-hmm. Look at this one, customizable. Do they have like a shelter builder?
I'd have to blast if I wanted to put one in New Hampshire though, because there's all the mountains and rock and stuff up there.
Is this a sponsored bit?
No, it's not.
No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
That's a cool
Hey, I mean, I
sponsor.
would be totally down.
But yeah, like their YouTube page is pretty sick.
Plus, you could Airbnb it out.
Look at this,
you weren't staying there?
$250,000 bunker. Like, why buy a house, dude?
just for the sunlight.
To put on top of it so no one knows where your bunker is.
You know what I was thinking would be a really cool idea though is you can get mountainside property really cheap because it's hard to do anything with, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, what if we took one of these 250K bunkers and dug it into a mountain?
Yes, dude.
So one side is just overlooking
Yeah.
the beauty. There's a river down there, or a stream or whatever, and then you actually set it up so that there's a gigantic concrete barrier that separates it. So a portion of it is sheltered, the other portion is exposed and open.
So what you need to do is find some. You go to New York, find some Islamic extremists that have TATP that can blow a hole in the side of a mountain for you,
There you go.
and then you can build your dream bunker.
Dude, you could do like a bunch of them next to each other and build either a city or build tunnels between them and have just like a megalopolis in the side of a mountain.
Well, part of the reason why you build a bunker, or one of the things that people like about building bunkers is anonymity. They like that people don't know where it is, keep it secret. Because ostensibly, in an end of the world scenario, if you have a bunker and your neighbor doesn't, your neighbor might want to try and come and get into your bunker.
I was
It's
thinking
a
of
bad idea.
That guy who was like, end of the world scenario, he's got all the money in the world, he's got all the armed guards in the world, and then the world ends and he's underground with all his armed guards, and the armed guards are like, why are we dealing with this guy?
That's actually, I think, part of the plot of the Horizon series.
I know
Yeah.
I've heard that, mind experiment before, that like if you hire a guy for a gun, well,
One of the
Before it was because money meant something. Now that
Yeah.
money means nothing. I'm the guy with the gun.
yeah,
So,
but, I mean, they're in the bunker with you, so
Well, it depends on what your skills are. The funny thing is, I'd imagine most billionaires don't have functional skills for survival. Maybe presumptuous of me to say, but probably I'd imagine farmers are going to be preppers are obviously going to be the ones who survive any kind of real nuclear strike or apocalypse or whatever. But outside of anyone who's specifically preparing for the end of times, farmers probably would do the best. Hunters, people who naturally have basic survival. I'd imagine a tech billionaire would be completely useless. Now, to be fair, they're smart. You don't get to these places without being smart, and technology is important. The question is, how would Elon apply his knowledge in a situation where it's like 7 dudes in the middle of a field, city's gone, there's no fuel, cars aren't running, and they're like, okay, we got to survive.
to be fair, that's exactly the kind of person I would trust to rebuild a society.
But rebuild society, yes, when you have scale. But what if you're just
Right.
7 guys in the middle of the woods?
Well, then I'd.
You're gonna be like, look, someone's got to find water, someone's got to build shelter, and someone's got to find food.
At that point, his food is your food.
Exactly.
But I think you got to protect him too, because you're like, look, on the off chance that we do make it out of this, you're gonna be rebuilding society for us, so we're gonna keep you alive.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
You just let this
No,
smart guy.
while I certainly respect that someone like Elon or Bezos, they're intelligent individuals
Yeah.
who are able to build systems, it doesn't mean they're good with people and building policy and governance or anything like that.
No, I think outside of like a Fallout style bunker where you have an actual functioning society with a lot of people that you could trust. Okay, when we go topside, we have something that we can actually rebuild with. I'm not sure I'd want to survive a situation that I would need a nuclear Fallout bunker. I think I'm good, frankly.
Yeah, you turn into a ghoul, and then you live forever, but you're all weird looking and your nose falls off.
Heaven's
Nah.
pretty cool. So I'm kind of with you on that.
Heaven is pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds neat. From everything I've heard about it, it sounds much preferable.
Well, you know, when I was a kid, my dad, he was always full of fun little hypotheticals. And one he said to me was, if you saw a nuclear bomb coming down right there in the sky, what would you do? And I was like, run? And he goes, yeah, which direction? And I was like, away? No, you run towards it. Because you don't want to be caught in the searing flesh and painful death zone. You want to be in the instantly vaporized zone.
What a cheery
Happy
man he was. That's it.
And he'd always be like, we'd walk into a restaurant, where are your exits at? And he was a Marine. So you walk in and go there and there's like, that's right. And a firefighter. Because the amount of people that die in burning buildings because they don't know where the exits are. There was one crazy video where a fire started in a bar and everybody ran to the front door and got stuck. And then the guy who filmed it calmly walked out the emergency exit and then filmed everybody just stuck in the door because they all pushed each other in and then got, it's brutal, man.
It doesn't surprise me, but it's still it's jarring.
Yeah. They say that when too many humans are in one space, fluid dynamics take over and it's basically a bunch of water.
Oh,
So
I
like
was
when
at
those,
Mardi Gras
those
for something like
stampedes
that.
at Mecca.
Yeah,
you know,
I did a Mardi Gras in St. Louis, and it was like that. It was like getting squeezed and like moved along in an ocean of maniacs. And then I peed on a wall. I was so drunk. And the cops were like, "You can't do that." I think they let me off with a warning.
Because they couldn't get to you.
They're like, get him, and he's floating away while you're in it.
See ya. I think these
I mean,
guys did a. What were you say?
Oh, I think that was one of the big. God, I could be misremembering this. I think it was in New York or something like that. But there was like an attack on. I don't remember if it was just a nightclub or like a gay club or something like that. It was one of the biggest mass casualty events because they lit it on fire. And
that was Pulse nightclub.
No, it wasn't a shooting.
That was
It was an actual like firebombing.
Wow.
And a lot of people died because they couldn't get out.
Dude, fire.
Now, what if someone discombobulates like a nightclub, and then everyone inside just starts going like, oh,
A lot of nosebleeds and bowel evacuation.
Maduro's not here.
Yeah, and they blame the artist that's performing.
Do you think the Havana Syndrome stuff was like them testing out the discombobulator?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember seeing this stuff on like, when I'd play hooky from school and like watching Future Weapons.
Yes.
They show like the sonic weapons they were using for like crowd control. I'm like, that's the stuff they were willing to tell us about on TV 15 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gotten better.
You know, somebody just was really excited to call it the discombobulator.
Yeah.
I thought that was just Trump kind of riffing.
Oh, was it?
I
It's
don't
not
know
actually
for
the name
sure.
of it?
I don't
Well,
know for sure.
There- okay, in that
I'm sure
case-
that he's got a military
In
designation.
that case, there's going to be some dude who invented something that he calls like the high energy output destruction device, the HEOD. And now everyone's like, how's the discombobulator going? He's like, it's called the HEOD.
I know.
just
Exactly.
bummed out.
I wanted to say about these guys that are serving with Trump that bought bunkers. I don't think they're panicking. I think they are maybe panicking. I don't think that they're actually moving off of like an intelligence that like there's a threat. I think that these are just a couple of guys that are like, it's cheap. We can do it. They're hitting Iran right now. What better time?
I'd love to know like how many people out of what sample size. Is this like Trump's 2 biggest advisors, or is this like out of 500 people attached to the White House, 2 dudes with money decided we're in a conflict, I should have a bunker? It's that. I think that's kind of more where we're falling.
How do you feel about this conflict? I mean, we'll probably pull it up. I don't know if we really went too hard on Iran, but like, what are your thoughts on the regime and the Iranian government and how to handle this?
It's definitely, I don't know. I hate to be a fence sitter on it. Like I would prefer no conflict, frankly. But then you have the other side of the fence where these guys go, well, what did Iran ever do to us? I'm like, well, okay,
Kind of a lot.
Yeah, how much time do you have? So like I don't know. I prefer, like I said, I don't want to get involved in another forever war. I don't think a lot of this stuff is any of our business. But if we're gonna do it, if we have to do it, I don't have access to the intel. I don't know what they're operating on. I prefer it to be fast, cheap, effective, at the lowest cost of American life possible. I don't want boots on the ground.
But let me real quick. Sorry, don't forget what you're going to say.
Okay.
'Cause I want to show this map and explain about what did Iran ever do to us. Right now, the concerns and the reason price is skyrocketing is because the Strait of Hormuz is under threat by Iran, and you've got these Gulf states. You got Bahrain, Qatar, the Emirates. You've even got Oman. And the Saudis, and there's a lot of oil here. 20% of oil and natural gas they want to get out to the rest of the world to do business with. You are allowed to sell stuff. That's what they're doing. So Iran, right here, the whole time has basically been saying, we will blow you up unless we get what we want. At a certain point, everybody's just like, dude, these a-holes need to be stopped. I am not advocating for anything that we did in Iran because my concerns are instability in the region, and that could screw the whole thing up even more. My point is only to say that when you have a bunch of different countries that sell 20% of natural gas and oil to the rest of the world, and they're constantly under threat of being blown up by Iran unless we give Iran free stuff like pallets of cash.
Yeah.
Sooner
That was
or later,
absurd.
Sooner or later, you get an Obama who says, okay, Iran, what do you want? Just don't screw with the oil trade. And so he gives them a bunch of money. Then you get a Trump who says, I'll just kill you. And they're like, well, we can make nukes. He goes, then I'll kill you faster. So you pick your leader, right? One leader is going to try and bribe them and pay them off. Doesn't seem to work. They keep blowing up our people. They keep threatening the Strait and oil trade, among other things. And then you get Trump. And I got to be honest, Trump's the kind of guy who's going to press the button. So it is what it is. Right now, we've been seeing reports that ships have been turning off their transponders and moving through the Strait of Hormuz and then turning them back on to try and get past Iranian missile strikes. That's insane. Look, if whatever the issue is, I'll put it like this. Call the United States bad for whatever it does in Afghanistan and Iraq, fine. Call Iran bad. There are other countries involved that are pissed off that Iran is shutting down the strait. And more importantly, when the strikes happened, Iran started bombing Bahrain, Qatar, and the Emirates and these other countries who did not engage in hostilities against them.
They housed American military bases, I think, was their justification.
That may be for some, but why bomb a hotel?
Oh, it's terrible.
Again, therein lies the problem. If they bombed the military bases, which they did, you'd say, oh, wow, this is war. When they start striking hotels and apartment buildings, you're like, what they're trying to do is get the people. This is what terror is. They want the people in these countries to get angry that they're being targeted in the war so that they go to their government and put pressure on the government so that the government goes easier on Iran.
Yeah, and I think all those governments knew that because they immediately were like, all right, we're declaring war on Iran. Like, you fired a missile into our sovereign territory.
Like I said earlier, Iran's been a thorn in the side of multiple countries, not just the U.S., not just Israel. Like, the entire Middle East is basically worried about what Iran's going to do. They're the only
biggest state sponsor of terrorism in the world.
They're the only Shiite Muslim country in the area. Everybody else is Sunni, so they're at odds in that aspect. So I mean, look, they're not friendly with most of the countries that are that we mentioned so far.
And they're you're speaking about government because the people are mostly. I don't even think the majority of the population is Muslim in Iran. Someone was telling me stats earlier. They were saying. Is it a literal majority?
Well,
over 51%?
Oh, yeah.
The government is?
It's the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the government. But the people themselves are like, they were free,
well,
until
they were almost
79.
secular. They were fairly secular for a good amount of time. Like, if you look back at pictures of, Iranian...
99%.
Like colleges in like 50s, 60s.
Dan Holloway was telling me it's that they're Persian first. Most of them are Persian first and Muslim second.
Their religion is Islam, but they're generally secular Muslims. They're not particularly religious.
So I'm kind of dancing around this question, which I was going to ask you before Tim asked me to remember it, is you said we got to do this and we need to protect American lives at all costs. But like that can get very broad, at all costs metaphor, because would you incinerate 1 million Iranian civilians?
Because I think you're kind of mistaking what I was saying. I was saying if we have to do this, let's do it quickly to the least amount of American lives. If it was up to me, like if I had a vote right now, based on the information that I have, which granted is less than they have, not sure if that changes anything, I would vote no. If I was asked if we were going to declare war on Iran, if we would go in ground invasion or like declare an official war, I would vote no. I think we've... I'm typically an anti-war hawk kind of guy. Not the way I'm going to do it. However, I feel like my policy on it is very much to make a weird analogy. It's like the Bill Burr bit about like no reason. It's like, well, okay, should we do it? No, but no reason.
Yeah.
It's like I think I'm more irritated by the arguments against it, where they're saying, well, these are just poor. They've never done anything to us. I'm like, well, all right, well, I'll get to you in a minute. That was retarded.
Yeah.
It's a rock and a hard place, because the issue is, and I think I like to bring this up. It's not just the Strait of Hormuz. It's also that Iran's been funding the Houthi rebels in Yemen, who have been bombing the Red Sea. Down here, where the ships are trying to come on in to the Red Sea, where they head up through the Suez, get to the Mediterranean, Iran has basically been disrupting a massive amount of global trade, and Obama tried bribing them.
Yep.
If we give them some money, and tell them to chill out, but they have not chilled out. Attacking us in Iraq, I get. The United States should not have been in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I got to be honest, I think the point of going to Iraq and Afghanistan was largely to stage a pincer strike around Iran. You know, we've got military bases all along the edges. But Iran has been, look, at any point, if Iran was like, no, we're not going to interfere with global trade, no one cares about Iran anymore.
Yep.
So for that matter, if we zoom over here, I'll tell you all about Trump's interests. So here we have Nicaragua. China was trying to build the Nicaraguan Canal. They wanted to build it straight through here, and it would have disrupted, I believe it was whatever this is, Lake Coquibolca, is that what it is? Or it might have actually been up here. But they wanted to build a canal that would compete with the Panama Canal. And this was some 10 years ago. They ultimately abandoned the project after it just like cost an insane amount of money. The reason why Trump wanted Panama back, the reason why Trump wants control of the Strait of Hormuz, he wants Iran shut down, basically. The reason he wants Greenland, it's all about controlling international waterways for trade, for oil. The United States tells the world one thing. You will use the U.S. dollar for all oil purchases, which means our economy is going to be great no matter what, because you got to use our money to buy oil, which means you got to come to us first. However, they say in exchange, you will be able to freely trade around the world without someone blowing you up. We'll go after the pirates. We will police the seas. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying this is the mechanism of the United States and why we have a strong economy despite not producing as much as other countries do relatively. We have the petrodollar system. So when you get countries complaining, we can't ship goods to the Red Sea anymore because of the Houthi rebels, Trump goes to Iran and says, are you going to stop arming these guys who are blowing up civilian transport? And they go, maybe, give us money. And Trump says, no, I'll kill you. When they threaten the Strait of Hormuz, Trump's not playing a game like Obama says, no, I'll kill you. Now, if you're not a fan of the Team America World Police stuff, that opinion was always allowed. I am not telling you should support any of this. I am telling you this is the mechanism by which all of this is happening, the reason why they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's pretty clear that America lives, or the living standard that Americans have is because of the petrodollar. And if we were to change that system, it would be a massive change in the living standard of all Americans. And as much as people say, oh, I don't want to see the U.S. to be the world police, as long as the U.S. is the world police, we should continue to do things that will try to keep the U.S. living standard as high as possible. Because you think that poverty is bad in other countries. If the petrodollar goes away, you're going to see a significant decrease in living standard. That means the poor are the ones that are going to be hurt the most here in the U.S.
And I got to give a shout out to my boy Nick, the fat electrician, real quick, because he had a very good video breaking down the history of why America went after Greenland, and just the long storied history since just after, I believe, the Civil War. Attempting to purchase the Greenland territory and the reasons that we had interest there, especially with the strike capabilities later on, and decreasing our strike time to places like Russia and everywhere else, and just having that ability. Because I think we came to an agreement after the end of World War II, because during World War II, obviously, they were overtaken, and we had placed American bases in Greenland itself, and so
I just think that the United States is the nexus of good and morality, has never done anything wrong. And for that matter, if the U.S. does it, it is good. It's the definition.
It's magic.
I have a bit more of a nuanced take. I do think that the liberal economic order that is overseeing this, collusive global takeover is the least worst global order we've ever seen in human history. It's been 80 years of no world war, limited, the internet, the amount of food people are
child sex trafficking,
there hasn't been a famine.
islands.
There hasn't been a famine in like 80 years. I don't think there's been a famine in like 150 years in the United States, if that, maybe even more ever in the United States. So it's pretty impressive. Like if we can stabilize and develop our drone delivery systems so that we can spread resources out, I think this system could work.
Well, so I was having this conversation the other day because I'm like, look, is America perfect? No, absolutely not. Nobody ever has been. But I think that right now the United States as it stands, in possibly the history of humanity, has the most power, like the most might to good ratio.
Yeah.
Like to freedom of its individual citizens, to how little we leverage it against the world for nefarious purposes. I think this is probably, again, the most power to good ratio that has ever existed on planet Earth.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, if you put the kind of military might that the U.S. has in the hands of, the Huns, I think that there
Or
would have been a
anyway,
significant difference.
I have a question. I brought this up this morning. It was a hypothetical on Reddit. They have these hypothetical scenarios they ask, and then you comment. And it is this. The question is for you, Mr. Herrera. You wake up one day with all the powers of Superman. You are super strong. You can fly. You can shoot lasers and breathe cold for whatever reason, and all that good stuff. However, once per year, a random person on Earth, could be in any country anywhere, will also get these powers. You are informed a full year in advance who that person will be. And the only way to stop them from getting the powers is to kill them before they do. What do?
Does that stop it from going to a random different person after that? Or once per year?
So the idea is, on January 1st, a random person in the world will get these powers as well. You always know who it's going to be. After that person dies, the next January 1st, there will be one more person. So it's one person per year.
Got it.
And the hypothetical scenario is, will you kill them to prevent them from getting Superman powers as Superman?
Do you also have those powers while they have them?
Yes. So people will just start popping up and getting them all over the world if you do nothing.
I don't like that. That's a very, very rough moral question. Because the mathematical answer to that is, at some point, somebody's going to have those powers and use it to kill thousands of people. So it's like, all this is like a Reddit version of the trolley problem.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
It is an interesting question as it pertains to war and superpowers, because you look at it from the perspective of not Superman, but you're a global, world-dominating, hegemonic power. You know another country is rapidly gaining power.
Yeah.
You can blow them up right now to prevent them from doing it. However, if you don't, they will rival you then, and now there will be... That's essentially what the scenario is meant to be. The challenge with the Superman question is that what if it's an Islamic extremist? And now he's immortal, invincible, and he's going to start massacring not thousands, but millions of people. And you can't stop him because you only match him. You'll be locked in a fight endlessly, and the collateral damage will probably still make the millions. And so the ultimate question is, I feel like this is a question to try and explain geopolitics at a grand scale to children, aka Redditors, adult men who have the mentality of children.
The Funko Pop breed.
Yeah, indeed.
It would be a good plot for a supervillain.
Oh, bro, Ian would just he would be like, I'll kill him.
And they're like, why are you doing this? And it's like, you don't understand, I have to. And they're like, he's psychotic, he's lost his mind. Like, I'm saving the world, you have to
You're
believe me.
Superman, meaning you're super speed. So it's 2 a.m, whatever country they're in. You flash into their room, laser beam into their eyes, and then flash out. And then people come in the morning, and the person's just dead.
When you're Superman, you don't have to explain yourself.
I would try. But then at the end of my life as Superman, they'd be like, oh yeah, by the way, it was all a lie. They were all going to be just normal people.
Well, now you're changing the...
Welcome to
You
hell.
just went around killing people.
You're ruining the plot twist of your own movie.
I should do that in the movie. Yeah,
No, actually, that is a great plot twist where the guy tells people, you don't understand, if I don't do this, they will develop powers, and then we will have superpowered terrorists. You can't control them.
They're
could be
3
the
weeks
villain.
away from Superman powers.
Yeah, and then finally on his deathbed, he's like, I made it all up. I just wanted to kill somebody. Just liked killing.
He's
gotta get out of my system.
away. He's 3 weeks away. Okay, let's do it. That's a funny movie. Now he'd be like the villain. He wouldn't be the main character, but that would be his motivation.
The villain, he's just a serial killer, and he makes a fake excuse.
Well, that's what the United States basically has been doing. They stomp down on anybody that's starting to rise up, and then if they get too far too fast, like North Korea, they just don't stomp down because they got intercontinental ballistic nuclear missiles.
Well, let's jump into this story real quick, and let's talk about that, Ian. Trump floats friendly takeover of Cuba, but says it may not be friendly either. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my birthday, and the only thing I've ever wanted, ever, my whole life, I remember being a little kid, sitting in my living room, just looking out the window at the stars in the sky, thinking, I just want to conquer Cuba. And now, on this, my 40th birthday, Trump has floated a not-so-friendly takeover. Mr. President, thank you so much. It's all I ever wanted. Do you agree? Should we invade and conquer Cuba?
I would like to see Cuba as part of the American empire. I shouldn't call it an empire because that's kind of tongue-in-cheek. I would like to see Cuba not under the control of communist dictators.
Well, they don't have any power right now, so they're not in control of anyone.
I'd like to see them sovereign citizens in Cuba with the right...
Puerto Rico style.
Perhaps, yeah. Gun rights, property rights, the right to freedom of speech, to speak out against your government. And if you want to participate in the United States, like, I'm willing to open the door to those people for sure.
I like that joke where it was like, waterboarding at Guantanamo Bay sounds really fun until you read about it.
Until you know what either of those two things are.
Yeah. Waterboarding at Guantanamo Bay.
I don't know. I think we might have squandered that one in the Spanish-American War.
Yeah.
Well, what do you
one of
guys?
those, like,
I don't think that the U.S. is going to actually need to take Cuba. If I understand the news reports coming out, they haven't had power in something like a week, and the people are rising up like people are rising up like America says. Said they were going to rise up in Iraq, or say they were going to rise up in Iran.
Their government's going to collapse.
Literally pissed.
Cutting off, taking Maduro and seizing back our oil assets in Venezuela. Cuba is now cut off from oil. And so the people are basically at this point saying, I don't care who the boss is. I care about who's got the oil. Think about it, that's the easy way to conquer a nation. The people are probably saying, I don't care if you think you're in charge. Like, they're going to listen. You put it like this. You work for a company and you got a boss who's like, if you quit, I'll sue you under contract. And then all of a sudden the paychecks stop coming in. You're like, I don't care what you do at this point. You're not paying me.
And if you're working and they're paying you sometimes, and then all of a sudden some foreign entity wants to pay you a bigger contract, you're like, why am I still taking this? Give me something. Like, what is the purpose of me staying in this contract anymore? You've been fucking me over for 80 years, Castro. So Raul, what is like 90?
Castro's not there anymore.
Well, it's his brother. Is it Raul?
No, it's Miguel.
Yeah.
It's a new guy?
Miguel.
Yeah, they're done. The Castro regime was all that country had holding it together.
Yeah, I mean,
And the oil.
If you look at the protests.
I want to just stress this to the people in chat who are like, oh my God, Tim's a cultist for Trump. No, you're a really low IQ person. So for that, I apologize for you not understanding what was meant to be facetious. I don't think the U.S. should invade Cuba. That was the joke.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to invade Cuba. I think the Cubans have long wanted away from that communistic dictatorship, and now with their oil supplies running out, they see de facto who's in charge.
It's looking like the op in Venezuela was successful on multiple fronts. It got Maduro, the current Venezuelan
and the regime.
Yeah, well, the current Venezuelan government is looking to normalize relations. If I understand correctly, the vice president there is saying that she's going to work with the United States, and it's also looks like it's going to take Cuba out.
I also saw bets on the State of the Union as to whether or not Trump was going to parade out Maduro behind him on a chain.
Yes.
Polymarket.
I wanted to see him come out with like the GIMP mask from Pulp Fiction.
From Ye's interview with Alex Jones.
But yeah, I mean, look, Cuba's been a communist country for I don't know how many years, and if the communist rule ends there, that's a good thing. I think it's an unmitigated good thing.
Can you imagine if, before all this is done, if Trump pulls off in Iran what he pulled off in Venezuela? This is the thing I was saying. Like, I was asked by a reporter at the Wall Street Journal how I felt about the attacks on Iran, the war. And I said I'd advise against it. I wouldn't vote to support it. I oppose it, and I think it's because we have post-intervention stress disorder as millennials from Iraq and Afghanistan. And not to mention the stories of Vietnam. We do not trust that these operations are going to play out the way they claim they will, nor do we trust the reasons for going in and doing it. That being said, if Trump is able to pull off a regime change without a ground invasion in Iran, which would surprise the hell out of me if he could, people are going to be very, very happy about it. Yeah. And so when all this is said and done, Venezuela is looking like said and done. I mean, it's pretty crazy. If Iran ends up the same way, and then Cuba falls into the U.S. fold, Trump's going to go down in history as one of the greatest presidents, not the greatest president we've had ever.
Well, at that point, it becomes a legacy play.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Maybe why he wants to do it all. Maybe, with the Abraham Accords, I think Trump very much was like, I can bring peace to Israel-Palestine. Now, I'm not sure that he actually can, but I think Trump is looking at the world stage saying, I can solve this. And perhaps it's ego-driven. Perhaps it's, I want to be the guy who did. Or maybe it's ego-driven in the sense that I'm smarter than you and I can figure it out better than you. Either way, if it happens, I'll be happy.
Frankly, I don't care what the rationale is. If he can get it done, an objectively good thing, I don't care why he's doing it. If he can be the guy who gets it done, then by all means.
If Israel gave Trump $1 billion personally to bring peace to the world, I wouldn't care.
I don't care the motivation.
The bold statement with our chat.
The point is, think of the most offensive
I want to lower that
again. The most offensive thing, like Trump is secretly getting paid cash in the back room by Israel for foreign policy that brings peace to the world, ends war and conflict, stabilizes trade relations between a bunch of countries. Why would I be mad?
Yeah.
I mean, two things can be true. Like, you could say that that's an objectively bad thing to happen. Like, that's a bad reason to be doing stuff.
Agreed.
While also saying that a good thing happened because of it.
And that's my point. Like, what if Trump's motivation for all this world peace is that there's like a small child that he wants to murder just in the middle of Tehran that he can't get to?
Like my whole
You'd be
life.
like, there's like just some little kid, he's on Call of Duty and he said he's going to bang Trump's mom. And Trump was like, I'm going to find you. And he's like, you can't, I'm in Tehran. He's like, oh yeah. And so he brings peace to the Middle East, stabilizes relations all over the world. And it's all just to
You
strike
can't
a
touch
child.
me. My dad's the Ayatollah.
Give me Obama's number right now.
He was playing. He was playing what Call of Duty back in the day. OG.
Do you ever hear those
15 years
AIs
ago?
of him? These are old ones too. Him and Biden
yeah,
playing Call
yeah,
of Duty.
yeah.
Gold. If you haven't seen them yet, watch those. They're so funny. They're so well done. It's nice to hear them getting along.
But on the Cuba thing, I think that Marco Rubio has been looking forward to this moment for a long time.
Yeah.
He's just like looking at a picture of Cuba and like rubbing it.
You know, and another reason
The
why
Wolverine meme.
it's not like because of Rubio we seized the Venezuelan government or whatever, but putting Rubio there was probably part of the plan to, secure the Central America. I think he's a master. I love that guy now, Rubio.
I'm really impressed with Rubio.
Oh, I feel so much better and like safer with him in the government.
Just let him hold you and keep you safe and
Well,
warm.
that would be fine. That would be fine.
He comes up behind you and he just embraces
He
you,
could be
and
the
you know
big
that you're safe
spoon. He could
in Marco
do it.
Rubio's arms.
Love you, Mark. Let's do it.
I was actually I found him to be uninspiring in
Yeah.
8 years
I thought
ago,
it was
whatever.
garbage back then.
Recently, the way he's been handling a lot of this foreign policy stuff and press stuff, I actually think he's not a perfect guy, but he's handled it very professionally, especially considering the political tumult between Democrats and Republicans. He's played it very professionally. I respect it tremendously. One of my biggest criticisms of Trump going back to his first campaign was that his lack of decorum. He approaches this from a very abrasive, culture war-y kind of approach. And J.D. Vance does that as well. Now, I'll give J.D. Vance some respect in that he's very tactful and academic in his insults. I can respect that. But Rubio has been very, very hard for Democrats to go after because he's kept it very professional and calm.
Yeah.
He hasn't fired back insults or played any of these dirty games. I'd imagine if they insulted him in some dramatic way, like with Trump, they called him a racist, Rubio's response would be like, well, I'm terribly sorry if I've done something to give you that impression. It's not my intent. Like, he's not going to lash out at him.
I mean, we all remember like Marco from like the little Marco, like those days, like everything.
Little Marco.
I think uninspiring is probably was a good word
Yeah.
for him back then. But I honestly, like, I had my worries about him taking the role that he has. But I think I agree with you entirely. He's taken it and he's run with it. He's done a very good
I
job.
think his time in the Senate's probably helped with that too.
Yeah.
Big time, yeah. And it was 20. Did he run for president in 2012? He was one of the
2016
I know,
primary, I believe.
2016, and maybe before that. I don't know. He'd been around before that, and I always thought was a war hawk. But as I've learned more about global geopolitics and that, like, you can't just never go to war when you have the largest military on the planet. You can't just let it all fall apart. You have to.
So, use it or lose it. Sometimes you're bored. You got
I mean, I want to be decisive with it. Like, I don't want to just do it for the sake of doing it. And I want to make sure it actually protects American lives or protects American interests. But if somebody screws with us, I want to show them what $1 trillion a year looks like.
Yeah. I mean,
So I guess the liberals are mad at me because I praised Trump's masculinity on the attack in Iran. My point was not that I would call the attacks well advised. I'm skeptical, but hopefully optimistic. But I said that I loved the masculinity of it, in that the Iranians came to the negotiating table saying, we have enough material for 11 bombs, and that's where we're starting the negotiation. And Trump's response was like, I'll just kill you. Like, again, I'm not saying that means you should go to war. I'm saying that video of Mark Wayne Mullen and O'Brien from the Teamsters Union is just one of the greatest, manliest videos on both parts for both of them. I give them both respect. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think I do.
Mark Wayne Mullen is like, he's like, after you left here, Mr. O'Brien, he's the president of Teamsters Union. He's like, you were mouthing off on Twitter. It's like one of the posts you said was,
yeah, where he threatened to like throw down.
well, he as consenting adults made the offer to throw down, and O'Brien says, let's go. And then he gets up and goes to pull his ring off, and I'm like, we need the men back in the room.
So funny story about that. I was in DC like a block away when that happened. As I'm looking on my phone and watching this, I'm like, man, I could have had front row seats to the best UFC fight this year.
But I gotta. So Mark Wayne Mullen reads the tweet where he's like, you know where I am, anytime, any place, and then he goes, this is a place. Now is a time. We can be two consenting adults. And then O'Brien goes, okay. And he's like, stand your butt up. He goes, you stand your butt up. He goes, all right. And then he stands up and goes to pull his wedding ring off. And then Bernie Sanders ruined all the fun.
And
You are United States Senator.
if I'm
Sit
not,
down.
if I'm not mistaken, that was a very good impression. If I'm not mistaken, I think that he probably should have read up on Mullen's combat sports record.
He's 3-0.
Undefeated.
Yeah, that guy knows how to throw down.
I think he's
But-
one technical knockout and then 2 by decision.
No, I thought it was submission. I thought he had submission.
2 by
I thought he
submission
had
and one
he had
technical
a
knockout?
TKO and 2 submissions.
Okay, way better
Yeah,
than
one was
decision.
an arm bar. But again, you shouldn't be fist fighting in Congress, okay? You shouldn't do it.
As much as you want to.
But I'm just saying, like, I am sick of this pencil neck, hoity-toity, buttoned up, we need strong, decisive men to say, do not F with me.
You know, this is very much...
Real quick, just final point. What does Trump say? It's I forgot the phrase, but like deterrence through strength or whatever.
Peace through strength.
Peace through strength. The idea is, I like the story of the guy who's sitting in a bar, minding his own business, having a drink, and then the loudmouth dude's messing around, and he comes up and tries to start a fight with the guy, and the guy says, "Listen, I apologize. I'm not interested. I'm gonna be on my way." But then when they finally don't let the guy, it turns out he's much more badass and he beats them all up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love the movies where the action hero is going, "You don't want to fight me, dude. I'm going to leave here. We don't need to do this." But the bad guys are the ones who are like, you think you're so smart. And then the good guy shows restraint, honor. You know what? The best example of this is A Bronx Tale. You know that scene? Scene in The Bronx Tale? I will cite it 50 billion times ad nauseum for everybody. Yeah. So it's, I'll give you the quick version. Mob boss. Here's motorcycles, all big ruckus. Walks to the bar. He says, "What's the problem?" And the bartender says they're not properly dressed. They can't drink here. And the biker leader says, "Hey, look, man, we just want a beer. Just one beer, we'll be on our way." And then Sonny goes, "Spoken like a gentleman. Give the men their beers." So the mob boss is like, "I'm gonna be you respect me, I respect you, right?" Then they shake the beers up and spray everybody down. And then Sonny goes, once again, honorably, "Okay, now you've got to go." And they say, "F you, F off." Then he walks over, closes the door and locks it, turns around and says, now you just can't leave. And then the narrator's like, at that moment, they knew they effed up. Then the back door pops open, all the good old boys come in with guns and bats and beat the crap out of the bikers. Yeah. The reason I love that story, he said, "Spoken like a gentleman." These men were polite, but not properly addressed, so he said, "I will treat you with respect." They then chose to disrespect him, and he still showed restraint and said, "Now you need to leave." And when they still decided, he says, "Okay." And they beat the crap out of these guys. That's what it means to be a man. You're able to, but you show restraint because you want to keep the peace and protect those around you. But when bad and evil comes lurk on that corner, you are willing, ready, and able to stop it.
I think. What's that?
Sorry, just the biblical interpretation of the meek shall inherit the earth. It's like, well, one of the translations that I was hearing was it's not meek as in like weak, It was more of those who carry swords but choose to keep them sheathed.
This is
the reserved.
Julius Caesar. I believe this is what he was. He was the guy. He was the meek one. He had all his legions up north, all this territory, and the Senate started getting very afraid that he was going to betray them. So they're like, "We're going to strip him of all his land and all his soldiers." And he's like, "No, I'm not giving the power up." He's the man in the situation. These pencil neck paper pushers are trying to control the world with bureaucracy, and he's like, "No, I'm not giving you back." He comes down to Ravenna, close to Rome with one legion, and is there to make a negotiation. I just want one province in Croatia and one legion. He had 10. He was giving up 9/10 of his army just to go govern some simple thing and serve Rome, and they still wanted his stuff and wouldn't let him. And finally, he was like, "You leave me no choice." And that's the story of Julius Caesar.
I love it. That's so. I got ragged on by the liberals. They were like, "Tim thinks it's masculine to go to war." Yeah, yes, I do. Indeed, it doesn't mean you always do it. The fight you've won is a fight you can avoid, right? That's a saying. Mm-hmm. So you don't go looking for trouble, but you are damn well prepared to solve the trouble if it comes looking for you.
Oh, 100%. And like that's something that a lot of veteran friends of mine, veteran advocate friends of mine say, if you want to help combat veterans, make less of them. You know, you don't want to go to war for no reason. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of baggage that comes with it, not only American lives, but a lot of the things that they had to go through and a lot of the things that you still have to take care of afterward. That being said, like, you should always be prepared for it when the necessity comes. Again, if you want to screw with us, we will show you what $1 trillion a year looks like.
Or they won't even see it. That's the crazy part. Is people still haven't seen what they're doing. We just see the outcome.
And I
That
stress
their
this
children
too.
will.
The issue I take with the attacks on Iran are less to do with that we're going to war, but that we do not have a good track record on regime change.
Yeah.
And that is the argument against it. The expense, the waste of time and energy, 20 years flushed down the toilet in Afghanistan. That being said, you make a great point with the Bill Burr comment that there's plenty of reason to put the smackdown on what the Iranians have been doing in the region. It's not about us, it's about literally everyone else destabilizing it. And so my only hope is that whatever Trump ends up doing, we want to get out cleanly. We don't want a bogged down 20-year conflict. It sounds like the rumor in the Beltway is they expect it to be a couple weeks, that they're just going to just bombard this place. And then everybody who holds stock in these defense contractors are going to get very wealthy because they got to replenish those armaments.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it's gonna happen, I hope it happens soon. I hope that we're down. I mean, what are we at right now when it comes to the American lives lost? I think it's seven.
Is it 7?
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're down 7. But I think according to the Iranian ambassador, as of today, I think they're at over 1,300.
Is there civilian casualty lists?
I
coming
don't
out?
know, to be honest.
And it's hard to know what to believe. I mean, official statements from the U.S. are going to try and rally as much support as possible. They're going to say, Trump's saying it's almost done. Maybe it's not. Who knows? But then, of course, on the Iranian side or the pro-Iran side with Russia, China, they're going to be claiming all of the worst things imaginable, like the U.S. is intentionally killing children, and is one of the stories that came out.
Well, I mean, right after the first night of attacks, they claimed the Ayatollah was still alive.
Right.
So I really don't trust anything coming out of Iranian press right now.
I saw a video on Twitter of a guy driving in Tehran and just fire, and it's like apparently the Israel. This is what it says: the Israelis struck oil refineries or something, and that it was getting into the sewers, and you have like blazing fire along the sides of roads and stuff. And I don't know if it's true. For all I know, it's a freaking deep fake video.
I saw like some of the videos where it first lit off. I don't remember what exactly it was, the sewer system or whatever it was that was blowing up in the streets, but it seemed like that was pretty legit.
It did seem like it.
It's just from the multiple angles like that.
And I don't want to ever let myself get to the point where I just completely disbelieve everything in front of me.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
we're getting there. It's getting close.
it is kind of hard to tell, especially when you've got people that are so bent on discrediting, either side, whether it be people that are counter signaling the United States that are saying, "Oh, Iran's actually winning." Look, the Iranians they haven't been launching a lot of drones because they're saving their weapons for later. But I mean, that kind of stuff just doesn't really make sense because they've already lost, like you said, 1,400 people. There's a bunch of people of their senior leadership were taken out the first night and stuff. And it's like, well, what point do you start using your best weapons if it's not to save the people that are or prevent the people that are in charge from being blown up?
And again, I even hearkening back to the most power to good ratio or restraint rather, I guess is the better way of putting it. The United States, I think, is the only military on the planet that is limited by its political will and not its ability.
Yeah.
Because if Russia could take Ukraine, they would.
Indeed.
And there's multiple examples of different, you can name a country and who they'd like to take or what they'd like to do. They'd do it if they could. We're the only ones that hold back because we can, but we choose not to because of the political fallout. But we have the ability, and I think we're seeing that right now.
Absolutely.
I think we're actually holding back a little bit. I mean, we're holding back a lot.
Well,
frankly.
I mean, we have nukes, so
there's always that. There was always the next step. I don't think we're ever going to go that far.
Yeah,
I hope
carpet
not.
bombs. Even I mean, there's a mid tier the U.S. could be engaging in for sure.
Yeah.
We're being strategic, I think, specifically to strike military targets without civilian casualties.
Yeah, I mean, we've spent billions of dollars developing weapons that'll be able to, if we want, that we can use to discombobulate, but also that are literally just flying swords, right? Like you can take out an individual person with a Hellfire missile that doesn't have a warhead on it. It has literal swords that pop out.
The mobile ninja blender.
Oh yeah. What
You
is
haven't
it?
seen that, Ian?
I've never seen it.
They assassinate a guy with it. It fires blades that just like spin and just slice you up.
There's a Hellfire missile that, when it gets to the target, blades pop out on the side and it will strike the target. There's a couple pictures on the internet of cars that were hit. You can see where the blades went in, and I think the U.S. took out an Iranian official with it.
Is it because it's like a low yield type of thing?
There's
It just hits the
there's
immediate
no
vicinity?
explosion.
So it just hits like the local area, and then
No, it's just
that's
moving
it?
really
It
fast.
hits you with blades and
But won't
blends
like
you
knock
up.
buildings over. Like that's what I mean. It's less destructive.
No, there's
Entirely analog. There is no explosions. It's just
Sounds like an assassinative
All right.
tool.
We're going to go to your Rumble rants and super chats, so smash that like button and share this show with everyone you know, my friends. But before we go to your rants, my friends, go to timcast.com and click Join Us and become a member of the Discord community. We've got tens of thousands of people that are hanging out in the Discord. They want to be friends with all of you. And more importantly, it is my 40th birthday.
Oh,
indeed.
happy
The big
birthday.
4-0. That's it. I'm officially over the hill as per the standard life expectancy, which is, of course, 79. That puts me on the back end, and it's all downhill from here. So the only thing I can do is say, if you'd like to get me a birthday present, please join our community at timcast.com. There's the community is always hanging out. They've got live chat. They've got early shows, after shows, and we do the uncensored members only show Monday through Thursday on Rumble exclusively. But if you want to call in and hang out with us and talk to us and our guest, you need to join the Discord community at timcast.com. So I humbly request, my friends, if you want to get me a birthday present, all you need to do is sign up and join the community, because it's not just about me, it's about building community itself. And we're trying to make this the principal component of everything that we do. A long-standing group of people that become friends, that can work with each other. Because as I enter my 40th year, the one thing that we've been discussing over the past couple of years is I will eventually be unable to work. Who knows? Maybe I'll do this for another 20 years. But there needs to be a mechanism by which other people are able to carry out from everything that we've done, make friends, build shows, build community structures, and then maybe in 100 years, there will be a new company, or the company will still exist, and there will be a big community of people who believe in freedom, truth, justice, and the American way, and all that good stuff. So, again, join us, and I appreciate all the birthday wishes and the super chats and Rumble rants. But now let's read what you guys have to say with all of this. All right, we got Disgruntled Vet. He says, General Herrera, when do we, the autistic army, get to buy our AK-50? LOL, congratulations on winning. We need more people like you.
Well, first off, I appreciate it. If we were actually going to ever like mass produce, like manufacture the AK-50, we'd have to find a very good manufacturing dance partner with that, because we do not have the capabilities to do that right now.
How long did it take to build an AK-50?
Well, to get the design down and to get it to where it is today, I mean, it's been like 9 years, probably 9-10 years. And this is like, it's a garage project. Like, it's something that we would put down and then pick up 6 months later, wait for parts from a machine shop, kills the project for 4 months, you know, that sort of thing. But we'd need somebody like, we worked with Titans of CNC on some of that. They were incredible to work with. We would need somebody like that to partner with on the manufacturing side, because I mean, we're a bunch of idiots in a garage. Like, we don't have that sort of mass production capability.
Right on. All right, let's see what we got here. Code Man Red says, I don't know how you did it, but started watching TNG, and it seems we were watching the same episodes. The last two Star Trek references Tim made were episodes I just watched last week, Fifth Wall Broken. Well, it's because when I got sick, I started the series over again. And I've been just watching all the episodes. I'm also rewatching Deep Space Nine, which I just got to stress, guys. The last 3 seasons of Deep Space Nine are just so incredible, and I really do recommend you watch it. I get frustrated with people who are just like, I don't like sci-fi. But if you really just ignore the sci-fi stuff, like I don't care for the aliens or whatever. Have you ever watched Deep Space Nine?
Yeah, apparently, I think I was told by my father that I was born while he was watching Deep Space Nine. Oh, so he was trying to like switch between like, pipe down, woman. Star Trek is on.
It is prescient, and the writing is interesting, and it makes you think, and it's relevant to what is going on today. So we've talked about the episode in The Pale Moonlight, which may be one of the best episodes of television just in general, where the Federation stages a false flag attack to trick one of their rival nations into joining the war on their side.
Well, that would never happen in real life.
That's why I'm just saying it's amazing to watch how they wrote this stuff out, but also just the beginning of the Dominion War in general. So basically, there is a military faction that repeatedly is sending military vehicles to a let's just call it a country in Star Trek. And eventually the Federation says they're at the point where they have built up an army where they could launch an attack on all fronts, you know, all Federation frontiers, and we would get crushed. So they mine a wormhole, the entrance to where these vehicles are coming through, which triggers the beginning of the war. And then from there, it's just It's war stuff. It is the politics of war, conflict, disaster economy. It's really interesting writing. It's a sci-fi setting, but man, I cannot stress how good that's. And Voyager happened, and we all kind of rolled our eyes.
I want to shout out Johnny Frakes and Brent Spiner. You guys, they got a show on YouTube called Dropping Names with Brent and Johnny. That's Commander Riker and Data from Star Trek Next Generation. They're badass human beings.
You've gone and done it, Ian. You've gone and done it. You've triggered me. Jonathan Frakes recently was talking about how people don't like Starfleet Academy, the new shows, and he's directed a couple episodes of the latest stuff. And Jonathan Frakes, you are an absolute legend, and you add one of the best voices to the Star Trek universe. But good sir, please hear me if you ever hear this. If you want to understand why people don't like New Trek, the point he made was that when they launched the Next Generation, Trekkies got really offended because they replaced the cast and crew, and it was a new, like, fake version of the show. And yes, indeed. But I was a little kid, and I grew up watching you. And so understand that the original Trek audience and the audience that I inhabit are it's a Venn diagram. We overlap, but we are not the same. So when I watched The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine literally throughout the 90s, I'm a little kid in the early 90s, and the show's already been on the air. I think it first aired in 87. I'm 1. Understand this. The brilliant quotes, the interesting logic, philosophy, conflict that exists in The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and even to a certain degree in Voyager, does not exist in Starfleet Academy in these new shows. For example, there is there's just so many great quotes. One of the latest that I absolutely love is Data the android loses, let's just call it chess. He's playing a game called Strategema against a master who beats him, and he's supposed to be unstoppable. He's an android. So he finds himself defective and says, something must be wrong with me. I need to figure out why I'm not functioning properly. And so he basically calls in sick, thinking that if he can't solve this properly, something must be wrong. And then the captain comes to him and says, you are my second officer. You need to do your job and stop doubting yourself. And Data says, but there must be a defect. And then we get one of the greatest quotes ever. He says, Commander, it is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not weakness. That is life. That is what I'm talking about with Star Trek The Next Generation. That's the kind of great writing that we got in the early 90s. Now you have like the sci-fi makes no sense. A permeable hologram that becomes sick because she's not really permeable or something. And she says, I can't deal with your midday energy before I even pulled my underwear up my butt. That kind of quote is deeply offensive to those who are inspired by the moral philosophies of the 90s Star Trek era.
But now they're edgy and they say the F word on Star Trek now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was... my dad also just texted me to correct me. It was Voyager that I was born to, not Deep Space Nine. So.
Shout out.
And you know what?
Mr. Herrera.
As much as we all ragged on Voyager, it is a masterpiece compared to what they have given us today.
I should
with all this
go
garbage.
easier on Voyager and Deep Space, I think,
like
because it was the exact same thing that John was saying. I felt like they were cheap, new, fake casts. Because I remember I felt like that for Next Generation. I was like, where's Spock? But then I immediately started falling in love with Picard and Riker and like Data, and then same phenomenon again. And I didn't give the other shows a chance. So
I always liked Picard better.
Picard's the best actor that's ever graced Star Trek.
When I start watching Star Trek, I'm a little kid watching The Next Generation. I see that first. It's on TV. I'm a little kid sitting on my couch. My dad's watching it. And I'm watching it. I didn't see the original series until years later when I was like, I love this. I want to watch more. And then I was like, oh, Kirk's good, but Picard is fantastic. I do think it's a little cheap how they were like, we're going to shoehorn in some character traits about him, like he doesn't like kids. And then they try to make that a thing, but it really doesn't work for Picard's character. Anyway.
I feel like for a long time, the baton got passed down to new people who loved the original source material, or at the very least respected it.
Yeah.
And nowadays, that's just not a requirement. And that's not just a Star Trek thing. That's a Star Wars, Halo, whatever. It seems like, with the exception of Fallout, it's like, you're required to hate or disrespect what everything that led to you having that job built on.
Yep.
I'm glad you said about Fallout. I haven't seen the new show 76 or Fallout. I've been playing Fallout 76 and I haven't seen the show. Well, it got better. It launched horribly in 2017, a miserable wreck of a game, and now it's well worth the money.
Have you guys heard about the new game Marathon that's bombing from Bungie?
Yep.
No.
Guys, I'm sick of this stuff, right? So Game Rant, Marathon is being review bombed. No, it isn't. It's just a bad aesthetic. The game looks terrible. So this is Bungie. They made Destiny. I played Destiny incessantly, and Destiny 2 as well. Did all the raids, you know. Went to the moon, went to Titan. Is that where or Europa? I don't know. It's been a long time, man. Been a long time. Went to Mars, and Halo, of course. I didn't play as much, but
I played
Halo.
a lot of Halo.
Bungie launches a new game, Marathon, and the characters are disgusting. They're like weird mannequin robots or something.
Yep.
I got to tell you, Concord, the game bombed miserably. $400 million flop. It's considered to be the biggest flop in the history of all media, period, for humans. $400 million production, zero profit. Zero revenue. They sold 25,000 copies and then refunded all the money when the game flopped within 11 days. They canceled it.
So they're like $0 gross.
Zero. Complete
Oh my
zero.
God.
The characters were all gross and weird and had pronouns. One of the characters was a morbidly obese, like Native American looking guy. Why would anyone want to play these games? And aesthetic matters. Marvel Rivals is now one of the top games. Why? All the women look like they're naked. Their suits are basically just their skin color. That's how comic books do it. All the men are insanely jacked, like they have 2% body fat. And everybody wants to play the game. And they want to be the superhero. Every time, did you guys see Dakota Johnson did the topless ad for Calvin Klein? Mm-hmm. Sexy is back. Okay, I was saying whatever Justin Timberlake was bringing back, that wasn't it, because after he made that song, they brought in a bunch of morbidly obese people to Calvin Klein. So whatever he thought was sexy, that's not working.
I mean,
now,
did you see Jaguar when they did their
yeah.
like the stock depletion that happened at that point?
So then they said, hey, look, what was it? Who did Sydney Sweeney do the jeans? What jeans was that?
American
Was it
Gap.
Levi?
Oh, no, I didn't get that right.
I think it was
Like American Eagle.
No,
or
maybe
something.
yeah, American Eagle.
Eagle,
Yeah,
a bunch of
that's what it
Nobody
was.
even
my
knows.
bad.
was
Dakota
American Eagle.
Johnson did Calvin Klein, where she's topless and she's basically reading like lines about a sexy woman. I think people finally realized with Ozempic, we are aspirational.
Yes.
So when they did all this body positivity stuff, and they were like, you can be fat, what they were really saying is you are fat and we're trying to sell you a product. And then once they made Ozempic and all the women got skinny, now they're like, okay, let's bring back the naked chicks again.
Oh, girls be getting horny.
No, the issue is, I explained this in a segment this morning. The commercial with Dakota Johnson, topless, with her hair over her boobs, and she's doing sexy poses, is not for men.
I'm so glad she made that. I gotta watch.
It is not for men to watch.
Are you sure? Because I'm about to pull it up.
Yeah, because you don't buy Calvin Klein.
Oh, okay.
What they want to do is they want women to watch that and then think, I can be sexy like her because men like that. It's a commercial for women to be aspirational.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, we're bringing back body negativity?
Yes.
I don't think this is negativity. I think it's correct body positivity.
I mean, no, I objectively agree. I'm messing around. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that you should aspire to be fit. You should aspire to be healthy. You know, there are these all throughout human history, we've had these paragons of what, the proper male and female form should be. Even if you can't get there, you can aspire to it, get as close as you want. And the byproduct is you're healthier because of it.
Yep.
You live longer. You live happier.
Body positivity should have always been encouraging people to get fit in a positive way, cheering them on. I think saying you can do it.
RFK, man, we don't talk about him a lot because he doesn't do like military and all, but I think he's like the unsung hero of the decade, like man of the year. Maybe in retrospect, people will realize how he saved a nation by stripping some of these toxins out of the diet.
And to me, I don't think a lot of the stuff that he's doing, like the whole Maha, like Make America Healthy Again movement, I don't see why that should be polarizing. It's like, okay, let's take the poison out of our food. Let's stop feeding slop to our children. Let's maybe get them to be a responsible weight, teach them how to do a push-up. Like that should be all basic stuff that we all agree with.
Yeah, it's just about the polarization now. He's associated with Trump, so he's got to be a bad guy, which is ridiculous. But
yeah, it's kind of like poor propaganda because I don't know, it works, but sometimes it doesn't. I mean, his work is apparent. I think his works are showing.
Because there's something that he says now that I truly, like, it struck a chord. It's something along the lines of, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it's something along the lines of, one of these days, I truly hope you love your children more than you hate Trump. Like, that hits hard. It really does.
Let's grab some more of these Rumble rants. We got D-Sage who says, I agree with Brandon. Clankers are not people. Ian will kill us all.
What? No, I'm here to help.
clankers are not people. It's true.
Clankers are not people.
Jay Hamblin says, wait, it's Tim's birthday and we get Brandon as a present. Thanks, Tim. Also on Iran bombing hotels, I heard the reason might be because most troops were relocated off base, probably civilian locations. Then they targeted civilian locations, and it makes them look really bad. I mean, it is what it is.
I actually think clankers are people. I just don't think they're human, but they have personalities like dogs.
Clankers. Clankers. Why is YouTube giving me the business?
Utubie.
YouTube's always giving us
You guys
the
ever speak
business.
pig Latin for fun?
No.
I just did. Utubie. You take the first letter of the word, you put it at the end of
Yes.
the word, and then A after it.
Why is it called pig Latin?
I don't
That sounds
know.
racist.
I wonder if that's a racist thing, and I just just displayed that for.
All
What does that
right.
do with
myself.
pickup lines?
Let's grab this one. We got Mikey says, I am keeping the tradition and say,
There we
my
go.
wife is delivering baby number 2 right now. Welcome, baby Clara. And now my wife just gave me the look. Pray for me.
Bravo.
So
Yeah,
funny.
very nice.
Bravo.
Congratulations, guys.
If she's on the delivery table, you don't have to worry about her getting up to chase you around. She can give you the look all she wants.
Much
All
love
right.
to your wife.
We got a lot of birthday wishes. I appreciate all of the birthday wishes.
Happy birthday, man.
RFH says, in keeping with long-standing Timcast tradition, I'll announce the arrival of my new baby son, Bruce Buffer Voice.
All right.
Weighing
Nice.
in at 5 pounds, 13 ounces, standing at a whopping 19 inches long, Carter Asher Rosh. Love you guys.
There you
I'm
go.
talking about Carter.
Congratulations.
Good name.
Asher. All right. The Branca Show says, military operations, declaration of war. Declaration of war resets entire U.S. to a wartime footing. Rights suspended, industries ordered about, drafts. Only Congress can do that. President can still fight in defense of our nation without that. You heard Carolyn Levitt said Trump won't rule out a draft.
Yeah, but I think
There's not
that's
going to be a draft.
It was it seemed like that was out of context because I watched the full clip.
Well, it's fair to say that asking, give us your military strategy publicly right now,
Yeah.
you can't. There's not going to be a draft, though.
Yeah, but you never rule it out as the commander. You always have to keep the option open.
that's the
Well, yeah, if
point.
we get invaded, they're going to give you a gun, Ian. Could you imagine? We'd be
I can
desperate.
imagine. I've been
We
thinking
have no
about going
choice.
shooting lately, actually.
Well,
But I
I mean, hit me up if you need. I know a guy.
Oh, yeah.
That could be cool. I kind of want to shoot that AK-50. Do you let people put hands on it? And
I have friends.
How many rounds have you put there?
that's his
I mean, at this point, it's like it's got to be at least over 500, 600
Nice.
rounds.
All right,
Which
there
for
you
a
go.
50 cal, that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Does it hold up well?
Pretty good. Like we're always finding more stuff to kind of screw with, like more things we're not like super happy about, like little nitpicks. We're like, okay, well that should be about 10% tighter, different stuff like
What
that.
would happen if you hit a deer with it?
Honestly, it's less impressive than you think. A lot
Really?
of people think that if you hit something with a 50 cal, oh my god, it explodes. If you nick somebody, it'll blow their arm off. It's not true. Basically, what's going to happen is it's going to go straight through. There's going to be a crazy exit wound, and then 70%, 80% of the force of that bullet's going to go into the tree behind it.
Yeah. Oh, that's not so fun.
Yeah,
I wanted to hear the deer will explode into a fine mist. Yeah.
it's the less impressive answer, but it's unfortunately
Is there any
ballistically
kind
true.
of ammo that could cause some catastrophic explosion to a deer? Because they're big.
Well,
Can you get a 50 cal that's a soft point? Or like a hollow point?
I'll have to
open tip
look.
match?
Maybe that's the new business you and I open together.
There
Maybe
you go.
maybe we just start making a soft point or a ballistic tip 50 cal
There you go.
hunting ammunition.
Yeah.
All right. Let's grab a couple more here. I don't know what this means, so I don't know if I can read it, but I'll read it anyway. Political Overtone says, dirty plops and pepperbacks for Brandon Barbera.
Unfortunately, I understand that language. It's our streaming platform, Pepperbox. We invented a new slur for the people that are there on the platform. It's dirty plops and pepperbacks.
Oh, that sounds
so that-
highly offensive. I
It
love
does. We legitimately had a strategy meeting for what is the most offensive sounding thing we can call our subscribers.
Yeah.
And they just ran with it.
What is it? Plops and
Dirty plops and pepperbacks.
pepperbacks.
Here's one.
Pepperbacks.
Drive-by. Is it, or Drive-by? Says, I want to congratulate Brandon on his 4th Victoria Cross and his 2nd Legion of Merit.
I got
forced.
nothing.
I guess
Forced
people
valor
commenting
on-
like Crowder this morning said he wasn't sure if you were a veteran or not.
It is clear that the joke has gone too far. The
Yeah.
forced valor of the unsubscribed
Forced
podcast
valor.
has permeated actual politics.
Oh, I wonder if while you're in Congress, there's going to be a story about for fake valor.
They already tried.
Really?
During the primary, they already legitimately tried. It's like, oh, yeah, so you stole one of the photos that we put up of a private comedy show and tried to pretend I was stealing valor while we raise
Wow.
over $1 million for veteran charities and such. It's like, okay, well, you know, the thing about politics is nobody really cares about telling the truth.
Yeah.
Indeed.
They want to see
No good deed goes unpunished.
results.
Let's see what we got here. So we have we had a goal of 50 super chats. If 50 super chats were met, Tim will have a happy birthday. Unfortunately, only 37 super chats, which means
sorry to hear
I'll
that.
have a sad birthday.
Sad.
I'm just
You
kidding,
all right?
guys. I just put up there as a gag.
How are
Thought
you
it was
feeling
fun.
now?
Literally, I feel the exact same as I felt yesterday.
Didn't make you uncomfortable that it didn't hit the mark or anything?
Oh no,
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I feel pretty good too.
no! I had a really great birthday present. I went all in with Ace Queen against Ace King, hit a queen on the flop, and it held, and I defeated him.
Oh,
And it feels really good when that happens.
There you go.
That's right.
was there a big pot involved?
Yeah, we were both all in.
Oh, very nice.
Yep. And I knew I was cooked, and I think Ace King versus Ace Queen, I had like 24% or something. But that queen hit, and it held, and that was the universe saying, happy birthday, Tim.
Birthday, man.
You bad beat somebody. All right, what do we have here? Martin Edgar says, a teenager in Michigan made a nuclear reactor in his shed from old smoke detectors. 50-50 for Tim and Brandon's campaign. It is indeed a famous story. It is indeed a famous story. Do not do it. Do not do it. You will get sick and you will die.
Do not radiate yourself.
Michael Holt says, happy birthday, Tim. Today is also my oldest daughter's 19th birthday. I'm a 40-year-old Marine vet and love your show. I've been listening to you since before you launched IRL. Here, sir. Thank you so much. And happy birthday to your daughter. It's a good birthday. It is indeed the peak of Pisces. So for those
that's
that
awesome.
For those that track that. And my signs are Pisces, Leo. Sun and Moon, Pisces, Rising Leo.
Wild. You got that lion energy.
Lion energy.
Like that water, that flow.
That's right.
Be like the flow.
Yep.
Brandon.
And Leo's fire, right? Anyway, we are going to go the uncensored portion of the show over at rumble.com/Timcast IRL and take calls from you all, our beautiful Discord members. So make sure you go there to hang out. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Brandon, do you want to shout anything out?
I would like to shout out the voters of Texas 23 who put me in this position. I'm forever grateful to be your voice in Congress. And if you'd like to go check out the campaign and things we stand for, it's Brandon Herrera for Congress.com. I'd also like to shout you out. Have a very happy birthday, and I appreciate you
sir.
bringing me back, brother.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Really excited for it. We need more real people in Congress. We got to get all the bad incumbents out and get all the good people in.
It really is promising that you're going in. I know you got the election coming up near the end of the year. When is it exactly?
It's the first Tuesday in November. But honestly, we were prepped to go to the runoff. I know a lot of the stuff happened that caused Tony to drop out, but we still, at the end of the day, we still beat him in the original primary. So it's crazy. It's been a crazy turn of events. I'll say it that way.
Vote. There is no sure thing. You vote in November. You vote Republican in Texas if you want to vote. I don't know. You're going as a Republican, I imagine. I never really even asked. Are you
Yes,
independent or what? Does it even matter these days? I don't know.
Well, yes, we were on the Republican ticket trying to get out, like just a really bad Republican incumbent, a total, like, I know the term's overused, but a rhino. And we succeeded in that goal. And it was not by a big margin. So your vote really does matter.
It's really good to see you, man. Thanks for coming.
I appreciate
I'm
it.
at Ian Crossland. Find me on the internet at Ian Crossland. Also go to graphene.movie and check out this trailer for this graphene documentary that we're building. It's badass nanotech. Like, if you want to get some white pill energy, look into the new scientific breakthroughs that are going to be supporting a lot of this political momentum and change that we're seeing all around the planet. It's graphene.movie. See you there. We also got Carter Banks. I'm not sure if he's got a camera on him today.
I do. I got Andrew back here, and we are hanging out, pressing the buttons, and yeah, it's a pleasure being here. Thank you, Brandon, for coming on the show. I should probably set this up so you can see me better, but yeah, anything you want to shout at Andrew?
No.
Well, okay, let's go to Phil.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. You can check us out at allthatremainsonline.com. We're going on tour this spring with Dead Eyes and Born of Osiris. We're starting in April 29th in Albany. We're going through all of May. You can get tickets at allthatremainsonline.com. You can check out the band at Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, YouTube, Spotify, and Deezer. Don't forget The Left Lane is for Crime.
Are you coming to Texas?
No, not on this one. No.
Oh, traitor.
Yeah.
We'll see you all at rumble.com/Timcast IRL for the uncensored portion of the show. Thanks for hanging out.